All right, love, we back. Another edition. This is an early week's edition of the Bear Facts podcast. I was out there. If you're on the page, you're on the channel. Well, maybe not the YouTube channel, but if you're on the page, we got to get that together. That's going to be coming soon. And what I mean is, like, I'm going to have more content on the YouTube channel soon enough. Right now, we got to sort through some things, make some space, offload some dead weight and stuff like that. But for right now, we're working on one project. We're transitioning to another right now. Like, I'm just going to say, check out that. Hit the on demand. Scroll down the page. Hit that State of the Union address, and you'll get the big overview of the different things we're trying to accomplish with not just the tattoo studio, not just the landscaping when that's up and fully running, when the studio's up and fully running. Like I said, you can't see, but once we get the career fully in swing, and my YouTube can't see, but my Insta, we doing multi-camera shots. So we got the YouTube, then we got the Insta followers that come for reruns. But anyway, like I'm saying, I was out there, I was doing some of my other projects, and then, like I said, the bare hands, that's what's going to be with the remodeling and all that. And you think, how can one man accomplish so much? You know, I'm still trying to build this team in all aspects, but you know, the career, where the bread is buttered in the field, like I just showed my Instacart audience. No disrespect, don't get any feelings. Instacart. I'm still trying to build that quality career in the field, because, like, you know, for me, it starts now. This is what we work towards. These are the goals that we were trying to accomplish, and this is where we wanted to be. As like we worked step by step through that process, going from starting out as a peer, working our way to a bachelor's level clinician, case manager, and different things. Substance abuse counselor, certified substance abuse counselor, and the pinnacle where we wanted to be, the master's clinician therapist. There are steps after that as far as examinations, licensure, and stuff like that, but the career and the education wise is solidified. Now, like, if I really wanted to go back to school, it would be just to sharpen or to build on other interests in the field that would complement my general therapist, 11 herbs and interventions. Anyway, so that's that. Like I said, right now we got over, I would say, the last 8 weeks, if not more, we got the Fat Boy Foodie Home Chef edition off and running each week, maybe multiple times a week, but we usually gear for once a week doing something home chef, and hopefully when things get like rolling like they're supposed to, we'll have that restaurant feature, because that's what it started out as. Because, like, you know, like I keep saying, I hate to keep saying these same stories, but hopefully once everything's running, I'm not trying to be picking my nose, but once everything's fully running and it's just week after week after week, consistent segments on consistent days, you'll see like the vision really come through. Because even though I got the backdrop here, and I got the DJ booth next to me, you can scroll down the reruns and hit the on demand on IG and see the DJ booth. But the vision, like, if you again scroll down and see the see the rendering, I would like to have like the futon set up in front of the DJ booth. The DJ booth has the side, and fascia, whatever you want to call it. Then you have the backdrop behind the DJ booth. And the backdrop drops during the podcast, but usually I probably will have it up because behind the DJ booth will probably be hats and stuff. Like we're trying to get them 5150s down new eras. Yeah, I mean, mission nets. Like we're trying to do all the ink those deals, but that's future projects. Anyway, hats. I'm a hat boy. So we're trying to bring some different marketing, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But when it comes to these segments, it's like I don't want to keep saying like, yeah, I was watching the Travel Channel. I caught this John Philly, got the most restaurants in the world, and they top rated. And they were talking about even above like places like Paris and stuff like that, where they known for their food. It's like Philly is like, and like for me, I'm a mean Burger King, McDonald's boy, or neighborhood pizza shop, mom and pop joint. And like, if I want to get fancy, I'll do the Carrabba's or the Chili's and stuff like that. But you know, watching that Travel Channel or whatever it was, it's like I want to start to do different things. Like I want to start to experience different things as far as like, especially because I tell people like Philly's a big spot. Like Philly's a big city. It's a big city. Like in the country, it's cities, like probably hundreds of cities in every state. There's counties and rural areas and suburbs and all that, but like, yeah, I mean, and for Philly to be number 6 was number 5 for as long as I was alive. Now Arizona took something around that happened. But anyway, it's a big spot, and not only is it a big spot, it's like every nationality, every culture, it's a very diverse, like from every culture to every religion to it's not just African American, it's not just Latino, it's not just a large minority, it's a very big, probably like every culture in the city, and not only every culture, but every culture is represented in this city by like they got not just food restaurants, they got like food markets tailored to like Ethiopian food, Greek food, Italian food. Like they got the Italian markets. Like down the street from me, they got like a chain of African and African American cuisine markets, not just restaurants. So you can go and get, and I know there's like that in different spots, but like I'm just saying. And with that, there's different festivals and events and street vending opportunities and just a lot of different things. And like for me, I understand certain mentalities where you just chill in certain situations, but being in what I call my afterlife and, you know, going through different phases in life, it's like you want to discover different things like outside of those things. Like, not to be cliches, but like when you in certain settings, it's like people, places, and things. And even though you might not be triggered by certain things, it's like, all right, you still want to look outside the box. You still want to think outside the box, whether that's and just discovering new things, discovering new activities. And I think that's a good thing too, because it's like that breaks the monotony of like when you just adulting, whether you have a past or you don't have a past and you just adulting. Sometimes that just routine gets to people. I know I've said that, and that's not even the point of my early edition. I'm still going to do a Thursday edition, but that's not even the point. But I'm just saying, like, when you, like, for me, like I say, everybody might not dig my lifestyle. Like, for the most part, I go to work and I come home. I go to work and I come home. Like, for a long time, I was going to work, coming home, and doing homework. And I was happy with that. Like, I want to chick, but at the same time, like, I'm always want to chick. I like girls. Like, yeah, I mean. But at the same time, like, I feel like I'm not lonely and depressed, but that's not discouraging me from wanting a girlfriend. Like, I want a girlfriend. I want something stable. I want something real. But having said that, it's like, even though now I'm not coming home and doing homework, and I'm not working a lot either. But you know, I seem to keep busy and working on different ideas that pop in my head and pursuing different goals that I've been planning out. So it's like, you know, even if I get into a relationship, like, you know, I'm still going to have these same goals. I'm still be as ambitious as I've been. And even though I do have this free time, it's like once things really start taking off and rolling, like if I get a full-time job and that's solidified and I ain't got to worry about next steps after that, I just got to work my job. And when those different opportunities, meaning like licensure and stuff like that, those are the next step. But when they come, they come. But landing that job is what the focus is right now. And landing a full-time job, then continue to build. It's like, all right, so now we go from landing a job full-time. Now we're working on the side job. We're working on the side projects, something like that, like I said. And if those things get rolling, it's like when they start to roll, they probably gonna steamroll. And like, even though I like to be in a relationship and I like girls, it's like you might not see too much of me. Like if I get the studio, girls can, and I'm with a female, you can definitely come hang out after you get off work. Cause I'm trying to make it a fun environment, not a clubhouse, not a hangout, but you know, an environment where, and if you're my chick, you're my chick. It's not like not me. But the studio, then like early weekends when I'm just doing it myself, the landscaping, hardscaping, aquascaping, that's weekends. Bare hands, like construction, like side jobs and stuff like that. Just starting off and hopefully building different things with different things. And we trying to parlay each each project into future projects. And like I'm saying, like when that starts steamrolling, it's like I like for me, I feel like in my personal life, if I had a chick, like I've told chicks in the past, even during the thick of things like internships, jobs, and my daughter visiting all the time, like I can make time. I can make time. Making time is nothing. But like I said, that's not the point of today's early edition, hot off the presses. Uh, I'm just saying, like, you know, hopefully when different things fall into place, they will fall into place, and that's including a relationship. Like I always felt like the relationship will fall into place when it did. I didn't expect it to take this long. I've had some relationships, but like you know, my main focus is always probably has been and probably always will be securing the bag. Like, and once the bag is secure, just making sure to bring in more income so the bag is never not there. You get what I'm saying? So you know what I mean. And I not only want to provide these opportunities for myself, but for everybody in the circle that doesn't exist right now, that hopefully will exist. You get what I'm saying? Like hopefully in the future, we'll be able to not just build for myself because I'm not a selfish person, but for all those that are involved that'll benefit, and even people in the community. And like I say, like my pockets is my pockets, your pockets is your pockets. As long as you're not messing up my business, like I really don't care what you do with your pockets, but at the same time, like I always encourage people to do what they want to do. I always try to help people do what they're trying to accomplish, and that's how we rock. And like, if you just want to tattoo, once the tattoo studio is up and running, rock with it. If you want to do the instructional courses that I'm trying to set up, if you want to do different marketing ideas that I'm trying to set up, like not everybody going to want to play with the 3D printer, maybe not. Maybe not everybody wants to do t-shirt designs. Maybe not. Maybe not everybody wants to embroider their own design. That's the future stuff. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you just want to knock your t-shirt or your joints off. Maybe you don't want to do custom glass engraving or stuff like that. Because, like, you know, I'm trying to get a laser engraver. I'm trying to get all that, like, big boy toys. Like, right now, we got the drawer toys. I'm trying to get full body blown toys. Like, you know, I'm joking. It's a joke. But like I said, that's not the point of that's just the preamble, the preface that has nothing to do with the early edition, I guess. Like, basically, I was talking about being out there and doing the first project. And while I'm out there, I'm thinking to myself, I'm listening to music, I'm thinking to myself, it was a lot that I was thinking about. I was thinking about a situation I was in probably like 18 years ago. Probably spoke on this situation. I definitely spoke on it, but like, I mean, it's weird because you reflect on different things and you experience different things and you view different things at different times different. And it was like, I was in a situation I was in with my ex-girlfriend. And my ex-girlfriend always thanked me for, like, I didn't sacrifice myself, but I did come forward and uh, give my account of what happened, hoping that it would fare better for her than myself. You get what I'm saying? Because, like, at the time, we didn't commit it. Like, we committed a crime, and I have been guilty of other things that I didn't get caught for, but that was even before this incident I'm talking about. And since then, we've cleaned up our act. But I was thinking, like, she always thanked me for, like, coming forward and saying, like, this is what happened. And, like, it got me thinking, one, like, I never really thanked her because, like, throughout the whole trial, like, she stood beside me. And, like, for real, she didn't do nothing. That, like I said, like, that's why I came forward like that. I was trying, like, when it all went down and we got taken into custody, it was like, my whole thinking was, like, she really ain't had nothing to do with it, so let her go home. So, like, I was like, if I tell her what happened, hopefully she would go home. You get what I'm saying? And I think I said that before. But, like, today I'm thinking, like, you in situations, especially when you're dealing with the street life, where people could get locked up for retail theft and they'll turn state's evidence on you and throw you under the bus. And, I mean, I know a homie that happened to. Homie, it's funny because, like, to me, it was like the Beanie Siegel song, like, from back in the day, like, and when he was locked up and that song came out, I think I played it for my homie. Like, we don't show no more of it. Where Beanie Siegel was basically saying, you can't turn a career mess up into a, thorough dude. Like, put him on post with the toast that promotes static. You get what I'm saying? Like, he was getting locked for retail theft. You got a body, half a block, some DT vest, and you in the kitchen breaking out that extra plate, like, and you trying to feed dude, and he ended up getting caught for some nut stuff and turning on him and snitched on him, and he got the crib raided. But this is 2000. And the crazy thing was, I had gotten in this situation a couple weeks prior to that, I guess. Boy robbed me, like, like, I had guns pulled on me and stuff like that, and we're gonna leave it at that. I've been in situations where I've been the perpetrator too, but, like, in this instance, like, I had other guns pulled on me, but nobody ever got a successful robbery. You get what I'm saying? So a boy had robbed me at this time, and he had robbed one of our young boys, or attempted to rob one of our young boys, but he ain't ever. And what was crazy is, like, the boy came home, he was like, I was actually, I had seen the boy that robbed you and was about to go, So, well, like, I'm just saying, like, in a situation like that, like, even that, like, I appreciated that. And, like, even it's weird. Like, I've said this in other posts, like, when you think about certain things and you forget about stuff like that, and something is brought to your attention or something's talked about or something, like, it's heavy stuff. It's heavy stuff. And it's like, how you just, like, I've been in that conversation where it's like, how you just forget that? And it's like, and, like I'm saying, as goofy as you see me on Instagram and probably on YouTube, not as much, because, space issues, storage. I'm getting there, or YouTube, So it was just like I'm saying, like, they were, I guess, preparing to go to war. Like, I'm not saying by name. I'm not saying that. This is before the year 2000. This is 21 years ago. You know what I mean? But he had got the spot rated right at that moment where I guess they was about to go like make somebody miss. Um, I'm not going. So anyway, like I'm saying, like, and the ball who snitched on him got basically caught doing some retail stuff, and all my homie, like, they got caught with stuff in the crib, like work in the crib, guns in the crib, and thankfully, like, you know, things worked out and people came home, and it was what it was. But I'm saying, what's saying that is like retail theft, retail theft. So I never really thought, and I'm sitting out there today in my afterlife, and like she was sitting beside me. Like I took that case to trial because I didn't do anything. Like I don't want to say I didn't do nothing wrong, but the charges they charged me with was an overreach, like a complete overreach. So, and like I said, I got found acquitted of the two major charges that I was charged with that were bogus, and we're gonna get into that too. But I'm thinking, like, you know, like, because she's repeatedly over the like we broke up 16 years ago, and she's repeatedly, damn near every time we talk, thanked me for, like, you know what I mean, putting my neck out there, like, because, like, you know what I mean. When they dropped one of the major charges, they were still trying to get me on the other major charge that would have had me going like 7 years. But like I said, I wasn't even guilty of that. So with not being guilty of that, like the major charge was the major charge. And that was a conspiracy charge. And even though she wasn't like, I left her in the car and I walked off and whatever happened. I ain't gonna get into all that. Even though like it's already in the record books and there's public knowledge and all that. But like I took it to trial. Like and that's what I'm really getting into. One, I had we had the preamble that was the preface. Like one, I had to think about that earlier. I don't know. Like, that kind of fucks me up because it's like, nah, man, like she sat beside me. It was like a 2-week trial, but she sat beside me every day. And while I'm sitting here thinking different things strategically and different things, she's sitting there with her arms folded like a G, gritting on the judge, like, what, nigga? What? And like, yeah, I mean, and for me, like, I knew I was facing a harsher penalty than her because, like I said, she didn't do anything. And even though I felt like I wasn't guilty, if I was found guilty, like, yeah, I mean. So anyway, and that's what I was saying. Like, that's what it's getting into, the other part of the body, the body. So, like I'm saying, like my ex, like stood beside me. She stood beside me, and the crazy thing is, like before I met her, she, like I've referenced her before in other, not to be throwing exes in people's faces or nothing like that. I'm single, but still, like before I met her, she had experience through other family members in the streets, but she really wanted no parts of the streets. You get what I'm saying? Me, I was like basically head deep in the streets. Like that was my. I came here to get like 3 hours of sleep, and then I was gone. And once my eyes open, wash my ass, I'm out. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes I could be out for like 3 days at a time, just chilling on people's floors, all types of shit. And like, I'm not trying to be no tough guy. It's just like, you know what I mean? But what I'm coming to is not only like, because it's been a couple of different things that I've done. And as a social worker, you know, one of our things is self-reflection. So, you know, there's been different times throughout these last couple of years where I've had to reflect on different things. So I just wanted to, not that, I don't know if she'll see this or not. Like, I don't know. But I still had to, and like I'm saying, I would say like 2 years ago, no, probably like last year, like over the 20, like this year, we've known each other for 20 years. And over the 20 years that we've known each other, it's probably only been like 2 years that we ain't speaking. Last year was one of them. Yeah. Mm. Last year was one of them. So like, yeah, and it kind of fucks me up because like now we're flipped upside down. Like I'm not in the streets and she's kind of, I don't know because we don't really talk about it. Like I don't really know. I talked to her earlier around her birthday, which was a couple months ago, but I don't know. I don't know what her life is like. I guess right now. But I know as I was walking away from the streets, she was getting deeper in, and the whole reason why I bring that up, like, it's not a look down on thing or nothing like that. Even though, like I said, we didn't talk for that year or whatever, and we got into it. Like, you know, I think after 19 years, 18 years, that was the first time I really shot at her, like with the Uzi handgun, with the fucking the jaw, with the drum behind it, and it was just cutting. But I ain't really mean nothing. It was just like, you know, I was just, at the time I felt like a lot of people had been taking shots that I ignored for years. And even though like we were like I took shots back. Which supposed to be a strategic move. I was analyzing that too. But I think that backfired. But anyway, it is what it is. I just gotta keep pushing. But I'm just saying, like, for her to sit like right next to me, and like for me, like I was saying, and this is what we're getting to. I mentioned the social work, and previous recordings I've alluded to the God engineering, I call it. Because like I said, like I was head deep in the streets. I was definitely off the deep end. I was definitely looking at death a lot more than before I met that chick. But like, and I just didn't give a fuck. I just didn't care. It wasn't matter to me at all. I didn't care at all. And like, I was just, that's how I was living. Like, there's no bullshit. There's no this side of the creek, that side of the creek. That's how I was living. I just didn't care. Cause like, and that could have been reciprocal. So the whole thing I'm saying is like, when it came to the social work and the psychology and stuff like that, like I always say, it's God engineering. Because for me, like I said, like it was introduced to me by a friend and a family member at two different times, and maybe a couple other people in between them two people, and it clicked. It made sense, but I really didn't pursue it until like a recruiter called me out the blue from some school that I ended up getting my bachelor's from. But he called me, and he spent like 45 minutes to 90 minutes trying to convince me. And I know that's the recruiter's job. Like that's the recruiter's job. So like, you know, I started out, I'm a psychology bachelor's like major, whatever you want to say. And I accomplished that. And my whole thing is like, mind porn. It's something like I enjoy. Like when you ask me my favorite movie, I'm gonna say psychological. My favorite type of movie, I'm gonna say psychological thrillers. Like something you really gotta think about the whodunits, the what's the motive, and like the more of a twist, the better for me. The more like I know people that always say like, "Oh, I watch movies. I can tell you before the end of the movie who, what, where, why." And like in some instances, I can do that, but like the more I can't do it, the more I like the movie. The more I'm sitting there analyzing the movie, the better. So that's and like I know like for me, I equate it to the mind games, the mind games, the mind games. Like the past, the past. And I say it like that because like you know, in that street life, like you gotta kind of have the same like wits, radar, hypervigilance. You gotta be able to read people. Like you can't really care about what people think about you. You gotta be able to read them better than they read you. And I say that because some people might think they're getting over, but if you're more analytical, if you're more strategic, if you're more, yeah, I mean, some people can look at you and be like, "Oh, this nigga look like a doofus." Or, and I'm not saying that directly at anybody, because somebody said that to me when I was younger. I'm not taking shots at you. Some people can some people will judge you by your whatever they judge you by. If you're a dirty little dude, if you're a fat little dude, if they think you're ugly, if they don't like light skin, if you're dark skin, I don't know. If you don't talk, if you only talk to certain people, if whatever. But you got to look past all that. You got to read them for them. You can't really let your emotions affect how you deal with anybody that's on the street or anybody. Because, like, you know, you got to be able to read a situation. You got to be able to read a room. You got to be able to read, like, the danger. You got to read the everything. Like, that's how you really got to get. And, like, you know, there's some people that don't care and just use brute force. There's some people that, but, like, you know, when it comes to cons, like, cons are a mind game. And, like, I used to say I'm like 6'5". At the time I was heavy in the streets, I was under 200 pounds. And at 6'5", that looks like a skinny nigga. Excuse my language. But, so a lot of people would think, like, I would intimidate them. And looking back at how many people, like, I got cool with that and opened up for whatever reason, I would never said no shit like that. I never had those feelings, but and it's weird for me because it's like I don't really recognize my size because I know how smart I am, and I be analyzing like when back then I would have been analyzing what I could get, what I wanted from you, and I wouldn't be thinking about flexing muscle on you. I would have been plot planning and scheming, and you would have never thought that, like, you know what I mean? You were giving it to whatever I wanted to me willingly, happily, with a smile on my face, and I took advantage of you the whole time. Now, there's the brute force. Now, I've never really, like, I used to tell people, I'll talk you out your shit, and laugh, but that was with my homies. Like, I tell them that. But, like, that was before. And the whole thing about that is, like I'm saying, that type of analyzing, that type of angles, you gotta learn, you gotta be able to read people, like I'm saying. And clinical social work, therapy, whatever you want to call it, it's like you got to be able to read people's facial expression. You got to read their body language. You got to read different things. Like they teach you about closed postures. They teach you about like other things. Like I can read, like it's been so many times with different people where they're exuding confidence. It's a lot of people, so don't try to fit shoes. Where they're exuding confidence, but the moment that a certain subject comes up, they sink into themselves and they really retreat. And they, like, I wouldn't say they dissociate, which means I don't think they split and the split personality comes out, but they definitely sink into themselves, and you can tell like there's an issue there. Whether they want to talk about it, you gotta ask them. So anyway, like not to get too far into the wrong thing, but you know, we're going back to the guys. So coming off the dumb stuff, coming out of the streets, coming out off the like, you know, certain things and certain things to do whatever. I started doing psychology. So then during the psychology, my plan was, all right, I'm gonna do the psychology, bachelor's, master's, doctor. But then I ended up getting myself into some trouble. I was going through similar what I'm going through now that I've been talking about, trying to get rid of the dark cloud, but without succumbing to dumb stuff. So I ended up in jail. And this is even after I walked away from the dumb stuff. I had the criminal relapse, and I ended up in jail. So in jail, even though I'm in jail, a couple of things happen. Like I'm still trying to figure things out because the moment I hit jail, or the moment I get sentenced, the months that I'm in county, I'm sitting there thinking, well, my career is over. There's no hope. What do I do now? I don't know what to do now. I was basically, before those suggestions and before that conversation with the recruiter, it was basically like, I'm walking away from this life, the only life I know how to make money, and the only life I feel like I have a marketable skill in, whether I like doing it or not. This is the only thing I know how to do to make money. Like, yeah, there's retail jobs where I don't know if it was an age thing, maturity thing, but like and I'm not saying that, I don't want to say retail is a dead end job because people like to exploit stuff, but retail, like, you know, it depends on, like, you know what I mean? Retail, like, I don't want to say restaurants because, you know, people do what they do, they make their career, but, you know, usually those are the jobs you go for when you in high school, out of high school, whatever. And, like, you know, like I said, some people make their career out of bartending, mixology, going through the restaurant business, going through the retail business. Like, I've met not CEOs but managers of branches that went through the company, and I'm not down the net. It's just you got to go through the company, and that's what I did with the mental healthcare field. It's like I took those steps, but like it was at a later date. But I say it like that because, like, you know, like I said, starting out of high school or even in high school, coming out of junior high, whatever you want to say, when you just first get your first jobs, it's usually either waiting tables or retail. And I don't define this stuff, so don't get that to me. Live, YouTube. Don't get in your feelings. Anyway, so yeah, when I was even before I got into that situation, even I called them the floundering years. You probably heard me talk about that. Like, it was coming out of that one relationship where we went through the heavy stuff and all that, and we're doing crazy stuff, but, like, you know what I mean, into basically not doing nothing, not doing shit. I think I talked yesterday about while I was doing the Fat Boy Foodie, about, like, just sitting around, like, trying to figure out. It was me and my homie just trying to figure out our next moves. Like, what are we going to do today, brain? I don't know. Try to figure out our next move. Get a Dutch and a blunt. Try to figure out our next move. You get what I'm saying? I know that's what was going through my. I don't think we ever really had that conversation with each other besides just sitting, chilling, playing video games, and smoking reefer, and drinking our four pack. Like, I know that's what was going through my head. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing. I think at this point I'm like 24, 25, going on 26, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like, I know when I was younger, like, my dream was to take over a project and raise my kids selling drugs in the projects. I had that conversation before, so I ain't going to go too deep into that. But that was like, it wasn't my only dream. Like, but like I said, at that point, it was like I wanted to live that fast life. I wanted to do different things, and it wasn't just a fad for me. It was like I've said before, like, I really grew up getting in trouble from day to day. Like, and I've spoke on that before, so I'm not going to go too much into that. So anyway, we had the 2 years. I had the 2 years. We had the 2 years. Like, my homie might have went through it longer than I did, but and no fault of his or no stuff. I ended up getting in a relationship and doing, like, I was working in a pizza shop and stuff like that. So I wasn't really making money, but I had money coming in. You know what I mean? And I had another source of income. But anyway, so I had already walked away from the dumb stuff, and I had started on my college career, or whatever you want to say. They made the suggestion. It wasn't just like, I just want to do this for money. I just want to boss up. I just want to be rich or whatever like that. They made the suggestion and it made sense. And like I said in other recordings, like, when they made the suggestion, it was on some, all right, like, a lot of times when any of my homies are dealing with anything, they come to me and they talk to me about it. And me, like I never judged them, but certain things I know. Like, well, I can't say we all, but certain people are capable of certain things, and then certain people are capable of more than them certain things, or we're all capable of certain things, and then some people are more capable of other certain things. And it's like, I always knew we all had the same capabilities for the most part, but for other things, it was a fuse. And for me, it's like, I grew up with people looking down, like, period, point blank. Like, and that never really hurt me. My feelings, that never really hurt me or nothing. I never cared. But like, going from one school to another school and being left back, you know, I was a dirty kid, I guess. Like, yeah, I mean, so not the not to disrespect any of my family, it was me. Like, it was my responsibility to go wash up and shit like that, and I would go in there and fall asleep on the floor. But like, kid stuff. But still, like, I was a dirty kid. I had got left back for whatever reason, and then like getting kicked out of the school that I went into, I got left back, and then I got left back going, or I got kicked out of the school that I was in after I got kicked out of the first school, and then like I came back, and I can't believe a couple years later I got kicked out of another job, and then like I don't know, it was just crazy. So like I started smoking reefer before most of the people I was around. And at the time I started smoking reefer, like later on, like I started smoking reefer probably early in junior high. And at that time, different people, and I was chilling with these people, and they were like, ew, you smoke, you smoke. And it's never really affected me or nothing like that. It was just funny because by high school, it was like most of the people that was saying, ew, Rick, you smoke, was now smoking reefer with me. You get what I'm saying? Smoking reefer with me, later on selling reefer, like, you know what I mean? And like, whatever. So the point being, like, yeah, I mean, I forget the point. Oh, people always look down on me. Even though I was always around, associated, or friends with like the popular people. Like I always knew that people thought they were better than me. People thought this, that, but I never gave it. I never cared. I just handled my business, did what I did. If I told you about it, I told you about it. If you found out about it, you found out about it. I just made moves. So it's like, all right, you could count me out, but whatever moves I'm making, you'll see like the results are the results. And that's how I always lived my life. Like when it came to certain things, like when it came to getting money, it's like, all right, like, yeah, you got the limelight, but like at the end of the day, the true players know like who really got money stashed in the drawer or something. And like I'm saying, it was never nothing to me. Like it was never nothing on no, I'm better than you or no shit like that. It was like I just didn't care. I just made results happen. I was more interested in results than dumb stuff, I guess. So the whole point in saying that I don't know. But I don't know, like it was suggested to me that I do the psychology stuff. I did the psychology stuff. So basically, like I said, when it came to certain things, it was just like I put the case and went away for the case. It was back to that I don't know what to do now thing. So we're still on this guide engineering, and we're going to get to the meat and bones. But as I was going from county to what's county? No, I went back and forth to court for 10 months. I got sentenced. They told me I could turn myself in a week. Turn myself in a week. It was the day after my birthday. I walked into county because I know I ain't going to get into all that, but I walked into county, and as I walked in the county jail, you're going through intake, and the first person, like they bring me in, I sit down with the nurse, and even at this point, I'm thinking like I'm not all shook up and down and out, and oh, woe is me, I think I'm gonna kill myself, but I was sitting there thinking like, what the fuck am I doing now? Like, I don't know. Like, I was like a couple class. I had withdrawn from school before I got the verdict or whatever was in, and I was basically on some. What am I going to do now? Because that's probably out the window. Because like even if I finished that, and I was like a couple classes from graduating, it's like, yeah, I mean, like, what the hell am I gonna do now? Ain't nobody gonna hire me because that's what people think. That's what people think in the hood. Like, that F. I've said it before. Like that F on your jacket is like the scarlet letter. Nobody gonna want to touch you after that. Like that's a common belief. Like I had that conversation throughout my childhood. Like even though I only have the one felony, the only true felony, the one, but like And I know people probably look at me like, nigga, you only got one felony. I got like 18. Like, fuck out my face. But for me, it's like, even with that, like, I've talked to other people. And that's why I be not just encouraged, but like, that's what I'm getting to. Like, it's different things I'm getting to. But like, going in, I was like, all right, I ain't got no future now. But the moment I sat down with the nurse, like, this first, like, I'll say 20 minutes, she was all upbeat and she was telling me how upstate, and I might have talked about this before, so I ain't gonna spend too much time. They were telling me upstate that they got trade programs that people can get into and really come home and do something, like get a job and feel in felony friendly careers. So, and over my time upstate, different people that were staff was telling me like one person that told me like the whole purpose of some of the trade programs is so people, even if they could either work in the field or establish their own firms or construction, contracting business, whatever, in the field, if they were confident enough. And like, you know, like I said, you see me doing different things, and like, I'm not saying like certain things I'm confident at, and certain things I know I need to take more time at, not just see if I can do it, but really take my time. But like, I did 2 trades. I did the peer support, so that goes to that guy there engineering. Because I don't know if I spoke on that before. I was speaking to somebody in my private life, but I wasn't saying I was at a point where I wanted to give up. But I was at like, I think I had been offered boot camp. Now, boot camp is 9 months. At that point in time, I probably had like 18 months left, maybe 20 months left. I don't know, because my whole sentence was like 27 to 20, 27 months to 6 years. It was a 3 to 6 with good time. So that dropped it down to 27 months, which is a little bit over 2 years. So I'm guessing this is around like the 20 month mark. Like, I'm upstate for 7 months, or I went through transition, which was 6 months. I might have been upstate for a month at my home jail. Might have been, like I said, 18 months left on my detention sentence. So they had approached me probably in like month 19 and told me like, yo, you're eligible for boot camp. Now at that point, I'm still as fat as I am now. Maybe a little couple of pounds lighter, but you know, it was boot camp. Now the thing is, they said that you had to run a mile in a half hour every morning. And at the time, I'm like, okay, that might not be doable. But considering I can walk a mile in 15 minutes, there's no way that's not doable. And somebody was telling me like before the other decisions, like, you can walk the shit. But anyway, they were telling me the exercises you had to do. I was in the yard trying to get prepared. Like, I didn't do all of them, but I was close. Like, I was definitely close. And like, I was doing that stuff and working toward that stuff. And then the decision came down like, even though you're eligible, we're gonna keep you out here. So then I got a little upset because like, even though I had like 18 to 20 months left, like, the boot camp was 9 months, and then after boot camp, you would have came home. Done. You still had to walk off your sentence, but like, yeah, I mean, you would have been home. So that would have been like, if I would have, I don't know. But then when they break down the math, it's like, yeah, I mean, because they said like, they gave me the decision. Like I said, not to spend too much time on this, but they had 20 months on that, and then like, they made the decision probably like at 18 months not to let me go. But even if they would have really approved it, it would have probably, I think, would have took like 3 months to transport. So that would have been dropped it down to what, like 18 to 15 months. It would have been 9 months in boot camp, which is what was that, 15? There would have been 6 months left on my sentence, I guess. So upstate, like, you know, so I don't know. Like, when they broke down the math, it's like you basically would have been coming home at the same time after transitioning. And then they say once you get transported to, and I don't know how true this is. This is what people were saying. Once you get transported to the boot camp facility, you still got to wait for the boot camp class to fill up. And they said that might be like another 2-3 months. So it's like by the time you did everything, you would have been coming home when you came home. Basically, that's what everybody was saying. But it was like, nah, I mean, so when they told me like, nah, you ain't going nowhere. I was a little, I mean, upset. And it's 9 months, like 9 months in home, like, I mean. So anyway, at that point in time, I was like upset, pissed off, ready to like just say fuck the good time, go all out, and like do something stupid, like And I got the longest fuse, except for like maybe my little homie that I don't show it no more. But anyway. So, and that's not a knock on anybody else. Like you know your crew, you know your people. Like we all like who's capable of what. You know who got the shortest fuse. You know who got the longest fuse. You know who takes the time and thinks about stuff. You know who just falls off the handle. You know who's spontaneous. You know who's calculated. Whatever. Anyway, I'm getting you. Anyway, so I was highly upset at that point and ready to snap on it. Anything. But they came back to me and was like, all right, so you're not going to go to the boot camp. We're going to throw you in. We're coming up on a cycle for this peer support stuff, and we're going to put you on that. And not only did they say that, a guy that had been incarcerated for like 7 to 15 years, something like that, one of the two, he had came to the jail, and I had sat with him in like the lawyer visiting area. And like, I got to watch him work, and I got to talk to different people. I think I had already gotten the peer support training, and I had started working. I definitely had already gotten the training and started working on the unit. I was working with the individuals with the severe mental health. So I was working with these individuals, and he had visited the jail, which was kind of nerve-wracking in itself, because they called me and was like, I was on the block. I was back on the block, and they called me, and they was like, Tariq, they call you by your last name, so they said McGilbert. I was like, I went up to the guard's desk, and he was like, yeah, your lawyer's downstairs. Go see a lawyer, because we were meeting in the area where the lawyers met. And like at first, I'm like, huh, what? And then everybody was like, oh, they found the warrant. You going down on writ. You going to be facing some charges. If your lawyer came all the way up here, if your lawyer here, and that was the talk the whole time I'm getting ready. And then like I'm in the spot where you gotta change from your outfit that you wear on a daily basis to like a jumpsuit where they put you on a visit on. And the same conversation is going on. And now the guards are starting to join in like, oh, I don't know what you did, nigga. What you did. Excuse me, but And I'm like, I don't even know why my lawyer would be up here. But it turns out it was a peer. So I'm like a little nervous, nerve-wracked. My mind is racing. Like, what the hell? I'm getting a little nervous. Like, what's going to happen? Are they going to hit me with another charge that from like 18 years ago or some shit like that? Because I knew I ain't do nothing. I know at that point in time, like I said, at that point in time, it was like I was even out. I was out the game for the most part. I just had that little 3 to 4 month dumb stuff that came and bit me in the ass afterwards. But anyway, so like I go in there and I'm sitting there and I'm sitting with a peer support specialist. I don't know if he had I'm guessing he had his bachelor's degree at the time. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I know I was sitting there with them. We seen a couple of the people that were on the other mental health blocks and stuff like that. And we sat with them, and he was specializing in helping people reintegrate into the society after incarceration, like reentry program. But he carved his own niche out of really just catering towards individuals with mental health issues. So he was on like the forensics and all that. And like, and even that, like I'm saying, it went from coming into county, speaking with the nurse, speaking with the block counselor and the block manager, and I think the head of counseling when they were talking about the boot camp and all that, and then them presenting the peer support, and then sitting with this guy. The sitting with this guy was encouraging because, like, you know, he was telling me like about his past, and he was assuring me like, when you get home, there's mad jobs out here for peer support specialists, and even when you go on Indeed or Monster or whatever, like, they really do have a lot of jobs, and that's what we're getting to with all this. I don't know. I hate to have to sit through all this, but maybe we'll take a brief intermission and come back. But with all that he was telling me, like with the stuff that he was accomplishing, the stuff that he had done, not only within the field, but in his personal life. And like, even at that point, I had some aspirations of my own as far as the nonprofit and the Big Bear Hut and in the field. And I was with the peer support specialist when they presented it to me. I was already like, all right, see, this is a way for me to get back into the field. I can start with this. I can finish my degree if allowed, which I was, and keep pushing. So that's what I was doing. And when he came, it was like, really, because when I was working on the block with the people with severe mental illness, I worked out a system. I worked out a structure. What I was doing, I worked out all that. I was getting my I'm gonna say my coins in because it was prison. I was getting experience in it without, whether you look at it like that or not. I was definitely, because that was the field that I was pursuing, so I definitely took it serious. So all that, and then the ball came up there, and he encouraged me more. And like, even though when I came home, I had, it was like a year before I got into the field, but still, I still met a lot of people in that first year. I still did a lot of different things that I was trying to do in that first year. I still took time. And even though some things fell through, I still was able to establish the nonprofit. So even like my man Jay-Z said, even in defeat, it's a valuable lesson learned. So it evens it up for me. And like, even those losses turned out to be wins, just in a different category, a different sense. But anyway, also while I'm upstate, and I might have told this story, like the reason why I call it God engineering, because not just all of that, like while I'm upstate, I'm still preparing, like from the moment I came in and the moment I talked to that nurse and all this other stuff, I'm still preparing to come back home. The whole time, like, I was trying to keep busy. I was trying to do different things. I was trying to research different things. Like, I got mad John, like, this is my, I hope there's nothing nasty. But I still got mad books. Like, this first one's a business book from upstate. The second one, I might have poetry in, like, you know. You see, I can't rap about it anymore. You see, I can't rap about it. Start writing poetry. I ain't know my answer. I always say that. Kick a baby up that. I stuff a baby up your ass and kick it is easy. Like, the poetry, not so much. I did it. I went back at a couple of them. I liked it. But a couple of them resembled shit that I heard. So I didn't really like or heard later on. Whatever you want to say. And then I got the carpentry book. That was the other trade I got. I got like 3 of them. You can already tell for some people been in that situation. I got like, I don't know. These are all carpentry books, I guess. No, I got one business. So basically, the whole time I was up there, I was like doing different things. Like, I had a video game idea, like I said, I wanted to work on, and I still wanted to work on. I did a lot of research for that video game concept up there. I did a lot of research for a lot of different, like, I read a lot, like multiple streams of income. Then I got a multiple streams of internet income over there. I got this Jack Cannonberry joint. This is the only joint the whole time I was up in that situation, this is the only book I didn't read. I can't say it's the thickest. It's probably got the most pages because the font is probably either too big or too small. It's small. It's probably the same font as everything else, but like I had bigger books, but this is definitely, this got like 400 pages. I don't think anything even though it was thicker, that probably had bigger font. Like I read smaller books with the same type of size font, but that probably had the smallest font with the most pages. That's not why I didn't read it. I guess I had read a couple other books and I was taking notes. And when I got to that book, it was like, this kind of a lot of pages because, I'm known for note writing word for word. And that's not going to paper. That's just writing notes to retain knowledge and keep it somewhere. But I got the book. Anyway, I don't know. That's just me. It'd be like too much good information. So I was like, I'm going to read that later because I don't feel like writing all the notes on that one at that point, because I think I read both multiple streams of income books and a couple of other books because they're mixed in with my textbooks and books I've bought since I've been home. And then there's more books back there and books down here, books, So the whole time I was up there, like I said, I was researching things for the video game. I was researching things for just different business ideas that I wanted to accomplish. Like I said, the focus was securing the bag with the degree because that was what I wanted to do. That's what I felt like I was good at. And I don't want to minimize any other things I want to do outside of the field, but so from that day to release date, I was just in there collecting information, researching information, trying to do different things. Even in there, I was playing the cards, strategizing to do different things. And I had this one cellie, he was always talking to me about finance and health. Finance and health, that's all he talked to me about. So he gave me a couple finance books. I don't think I've ever really, this is a social book, but he gave me a couple finance books and some investment Johns to look over. He even gave me some magazines. The annual report, 2013, way after 2013. He gave me Money Magazine. He gave me a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to think. This is the summer action notebook. Halfway, I don't know what that is. I don't know if he gave me that. But he gave me a different. But the one thing he would always talk to me about, and I'm sorry, Instagram. I'm looking at the other screen. So one of the things he would always talk to me about was health, and I was telling him like the stuff I was talking about with the mental health aspect of the nonprofit that I wanted to establish. And he gave me the Merck manual, and I might have said that before about the Merck manual. And how that relates to the guides to engineering. Because like I said, like when I opened it, I started to read the mental health sections just to get even though I already had most of my bachelor, I definitely had my major in psychology completed. I still was just taking more notes and preparing myself more and more for my release and the plans I had and trying to make the moves. So as I'm reading, I came across that instead of going from the bachelor's to the master's to the PhD in clinical psychology or whatever, I could just do clinical social work and be a master's degree, have a master's degree in clinical social work. Like I said, get the licensure and stuff like that and do therapy that way. So I was like, all right. Now, some people consider that cheating because, now I don't got no more school and I don't got no PhD. But I've talked to I've been around, I've been in trainings where it's a room of different letters, and they all respect each other the same. Even though I had a bachelor's degree and a certification in drug and alcohol, and some of those trainings, and some of the other people had certifications in drug and alcohol. I would say it might have been 6 of us that had certification in drug and alcohol, a bachelor's degree and a different certification, but most of the rest of the room would have their master's degree, MSW, LPC, or they would be PhDs. Like I said, there wasn't no real psychiatrist in the room. Not to say anything about that, but it was mostly like therapists. Even though, like, you know, if the field knows the difference, but the MD, they prescribe the they prescribe the medicine. The psychiatrists prescribe the medicine. Psychologists, if they work in tandem, the psychologist usually does the therapy, and the LPC, the licensed practicing counselor, or licensed professional counselor, the MSWL, licensed clinical social worker, does the therapy, stuff like that. And if you have your private practice, like if I got a private practice, I would have to refer you to MD, a psychiatrist, to get medication prescribed. Like if I felt like you could use some mood stabilizers, I would have to refer you to somebody else. If I felt like you needed some anti-anxiety medicine and antidepressant medicine, I would have to refer you to somebody else. Now, for me, I think that this is off subject, but we're getting back. I think that the medicine and the treatment, interventions, and therapy go hand in hand. And I believe that, like, you know, the medicine's good, but medicine is, I don't know, medicine is medicine. So some people like medicine, some people don't like medicine. I think it's good to have the interventions, implement that therapists and clinicians can help you with, and help you with understanding the rationale behind using them, because then when those medications aren't working, or it's time for a med adjustment, or it's time for for a refill, and you've been, I don't feel like doing it right now, I gotta go to work, it's the last day, you on your last, you know what I mean? Like I would say, like, you know, people, when you hurt your leg or something, you got two crutches. So you got the medicine and you got the therapeutic interventions that can help you in different instances get through different things. So you can stabilize that way. And, you know, you might be able to, for people that don't like medicine, you can reduce your medicine intake as you increase your resiliency with the other crutch, whatever you say. But like I said, that's off subject. So basically what I'm saying is, like, I read the Merck manual, I've seen clinical social work to do therapy. And the reason why I point that out so much is because, like I'm saying, even at that point, I had recognized it. Like, psychology is the study of the mind. And even though I feel like I'm good with the study of the mind, I like psychology better, or social work better, because, like everybody says, it's a broad field. And what I'm saying by that, which people in the field know, like, you can work in child protective services, you can work in the welfare office, you can work in a detention center, you can, as a, like, you know, different positions in the detention center. I just learned recently they have positions in the public defender's office and the prosecutor's office for, you know what I mean? You could work in policy writing, and that's what we're really coming to. You can work in mental health, you can work in hospital settings, you can work in different places, you can work in criminal justice, social justice, criminal justice reform. You can be an advocate, you could, like, and when I say an advocate, you could be frontline protesting, like, with people, and forming advocacy groups and doing different things, fighting for people. Like, even as a case manager, I feel like you're an advocate, because you're advocating for benefits on the behalf of your clients. And sometimes you gotta go to war. Sometimes you gotta go to bed. Like, sometimes, like, you can't worry about ruffling feathers if it's in the best interest of a client, because, like, sometimes there's going to be pushback. Not saying that you want to get in the fisticuffs, not saying you want to be just all out disrespectful, but sometimes, like a lot of times, and it's not always the person that you're talking to that is your adversary. Sometimes it's the policy itself. Sometimes that red tape is that bureaucracy, bureaucratic stuff. Like, sometimes that's what's hanging you. But you like, if you got somebody that's a client, patient, whatever, and you care about this person, and some people say you can't care about the client more than you care about yourself, and I guess that's true. But I guess that it can contribute to burnout. But you care about the people. You remain impartial to dumb decisions people make. That's human. I'm joking, but that's human. So you don't judge humanity, but still, I make bonehead decisions. So I make bad decisions that I know are bad decisions, but still, I be feeling like if I make a bad decision at this point in my life, I can't say for my whole life, but at this point in my life, it's the right thing. I just know that the right thing ain't going to get me what I want. So I make the bonehead decision of doing the right thing, knowing there's going to be consequences and repercussions. But if you're doing the right thing, how the fuck you want to have consequences and repercussions? Anyway, so like I'm saying, so when I look at the broad view of social work, and I started out in the field and I started out walking away from that past dumb life as just somebody who, like I say it all the time, like my vision was the soccer moms and post office dads, I call them. Usually they don't have like a word for the dads, but I call them the post office dad. Not because my dad was a postal worker. Don't gaslight things. It was just because, I don't know, when I freestyled, that was what came out. Anyway, so when I say that, it's like, that was my vision. But since entering the field, let me back up. Like before entering the field, it's like, you had to evaluate. Like my goal was to work with post office moms, soccer dads. But then it evolved from there to establishing a nonprofit. And then it evolved there to, all right, if you're going to establish this nonprofit, you're going to have to know different policies. You're going to have to work with different people. You're going to have to work in different areas. You're going to have to network and do different things. So that is a different aspect. And that's what I'm saying, whether it comes to policy making, understanding policies, advocacy, different things that if you're forming not just a nonprofit, but different things, even if just working in the field as like a case manager, a clinician, therapist, whatever, like, like I'm saying, we work in tandem. So even though I'm a therapist now, like I'm still going to have to always probably work with case managers who can refer people for services. And even though, like, it depends on the organization, because even though I have experience as a case manager, I've always been told at this level, that the case managers do their job. You focus on the therapy, you do your job. So, like, what I mean? Like, for me, it's like a jump into action. It's like, all right, like, I already know this. This is your presenting problem. I know these resources are out there, but they're getting paid to do something, not to sit there. So I refer you to them. They refer you to them. You get what you need. But anyway, so in evaluating that, it's like going from, all right, I'm not just having this therapist hat. Now I'm having a community civic hat, and that is all encompassed in this role as a clinical social worker. And like I'm saying, it helps with developing organizations, even though I'm, besides my own organization, it ain't developed at all. But it is different reasons and different things I'm working on. Like in the future, it's really fueled by me and my success in life to bring my, even though they got grants and stuff out there, like I'm more focused on my success financially and securing the bag and setting up stuff that way. And like, what I mean? So yeah. like I said, everything I was focused on getting through this process to get my therapist, to get my side projects on. So, like I said, it's been God engineering, and then like going past that, and that's what the real rant is supposed to come to. I didn't think it was going to take an hour, and we are going to take a brief station identification pause and then come back. But I'm going to introduce with just like the preamble and then the preface. Uh, Another aspect of that is, like I said, social justice, criminal justice, and stuff like that. And it's not just understanding the need for different things as far as like, and like I said, that even goes into the social work, because then, like I'm saying, where psychology is the focus and study of the mind, the social work is the systems. And I like that aspect too. I like it, it made it more intriguing. Like, all right, so it's not just the mind and how the mind develops. It's still taking theories and stuff, principles and approaches and perspectives from uh, psychologists and stuff like that, but it's also adding like, all right, now you got school systems, now you got the home system, now you got the family unit, family dynamic, now you got friendships, now you got community involvement. Like, you know, you see how different things affect the mind, affect development, affect different things. So it's like you might have neglect in the house. You might have a strong belief system. You might have a strong community presence. You might have a lot of support in the community. You might have no support in the community. You might be a product of abuse. You might be a product of substance abuse. You might never had substance abuse in your family. You might be a person in the suburbs who has access to different things. You might be a person in the suburbs that doesn't have access to different things. You might be a kid with behavior issues that stem from trauma, that stem from environmental factors. That's why I like that conversation about nature versus nurture. And even the other day, a couple of days ago, I had a conversation with my mom where it's like, even though I didn't really feel like I was influenced business wise directly from my mother, I know that I've done a lot of things that she has already done in her life without even knowing she did the things. And that's what I was saying about my daughter. My interest in the arts, which is like I said before, more on my dad's side of the family, has seemed to be passed down into my daughter. And like, you know, with me, it's like I have all the interest in the arts from my father's side. Because like I said, I went down the many artistic individuals on my dad's side in different genres of art. And my mom's side is like they the business minded people. Like they about their bread, and they about that entrepreneurial. You know, so you know, like I try to be around my daughter as much as I can, and like, you know, as she grows up, I see her less and less. But it's like things that I've always been interested in and maybe never pursued. She's getting these interests early on in life, and she's planning on pursuing now. Like I'm saying, like me, people change trajectories. But like I'm saying, then that brings me to the different aspects of the field, like criminal justice. And that's when I started out with the whole ex-girlfriend story. And it's going to bring me to this. I bring it to this point because it's like, you know, where we are in our culture and in our society, it's different. It's different. I definitely see a lot of, like, even in Pennsylvania, I've said it before, like in Pennsylvania, I've seen a lot of good initiatives that are like, you know, social justice, equality, and criminal justice reform and new initiatives that's brand new. So like, I'm not going to go off the top of my head for these different initiatives, but I definitely like seeing what Mayor Kenny is doing in Philadelphia. And because I've spoken on some of the initiatives before, and I know that Governor Tom Wolf has his own initiative, and a couple of senators in the area I've been keeping track of their initiatives and things that have passed and reform that is created to help everybody. And in environment, in an urban environment, in Philadelphia, urban environment. Like I said, I think that the social worker role, case manager role is like very needed, quintessential, and I don't want to say underrated because I know that's how I've always heard about it. And I know you go into the local welfare office and people are bickering with the staff, but I think that whether it's because even as case managers, like case managers can go into the social services office with you and advocate on your behalf. Like, so it's not just like, different things. There's different things beyond that you might not be aware of. And working with case managers, they can link you to different services. Now, I'm not saying that things will happen overnight. Like I always tell my clients, like things are a process. And it's crazy to say that because there's a lot of gaps in the services, and that's not an insult. That's clinical terminology. There's a lot of gaps in service. There's always need for different services, like the housing. It's like I've said in other things is backed up for. But anyway, so with the social justice, like I'm gonna come back, but I'm just gonna introduce it right now. Like while I'm out there, and I just ran it for an hour. It was all building up to this because I had to set the stage. But anyway, so I'm out there I was thinking about my ex-girlfriend in that case, and I was thinking about other things, and like when it comes to criminal reform, especially as somebody who was like I said, I was head deep in the streets, and I know people that enjoy that life. I know people that are living that life. I know people that want to get out of that life. I know people that are on different sides of the life in the same familiar story, and some of them want to get out of it. Some people want to continue to party. My thing is more of the, like I said, I know the common beliefs in the story, even though like at this point in life, like I said, you go down my Instagram page, I'm acting a fool and I'm goofy and all that stuff. And like I've been face to face with people that I would still look at the same way that people look at me, like I couldn't believe that you ever lived that life. So it's the resources, it's the policies, I was just thinking about a policy earlier. I was thinking about a bunch of policies. Like that's what I do now. Like I'm thinking about not just policy, but I'm thinking about the Afghan people. Like when they first announced that they were withdrawing our troops after 20 years, and like for me, like that's important because like these people, like I know everybody ain't stay over there for 20 years. I know people do tours or whatever, but they still put themselves in that situation to help the world be a better place. And at any moment, you can get killed. Like 13 Americans were just killed, over 100 Afghans were killed, and they were on the process of leaving the country. They announced the evacuation like a week or two before that incident last week. And like, it's crazy because I know that's a polarizing thing because I know, like I said, it's limited resources as it is. And I know there's a lot of different initiatives, like I said, and I see a lot of revitalization, and with that comes new opportunities for new programs that will benefit the public. And I know that, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I know it's a polarizing issue because I know some people are going to really feel like there's limited resources for the people that are here. And I understand that. And that's why I like, as a Democrat, like when I watch the debates, and I've been watching the debates since Ross Perot and Clinton, and Bush, I guess Bush Senior, uh, were running, and every election, every presidential election, they basically talk about the same things: healthcare and more government, less government. Now, like I've said, like to me, not just being in the field, but as somebody who's received benefits at certain points, I'm receiving benefits now. Like, uh, when it comes to that argument, more government and less government, and I've had that conversation with different people who provided different perspectives and new knowledge that I had to add to my existing knowledge that it's something in the field. It's schemas, accommodation, and something else. I can't remember, but I know the definition. I know schema is like learning new information. Then the other two is like adjusting existing knowledge to add and adapt new knowledge. You keep the same belief, but you add new knowledge to it, and you kind of you adapt. And that, well, I don't want to say adapt because the third thing is basically you you replace the old knowledge with new knowledge. So you basically completely change the way you think. But so like in talking to different people, it's like and that's when they were having that conversation about throwing out the filibuster. And I know a lot of Democrats were for throwing out the filibuster because then it's like we get what we want as Democrats. But the other side of that is, so do the Republicans. When the Republicans take office, and the crazy thing, since I've been following politics, even when I was doing dumb stuff, it's like I've said, since I was born the year that Reagan took office after Jimmy Carter, and since then they've had like 4 to 6 Republican presidents. We've had 2 before Biden. We've had Clinton and we've had Obama. Now, both of them had 2 terms, so they both were in office for 8 years. But we had Reagan for 2 years, then we had Bush, then we had Clinton for 8 years, then we had Bush Jr., then we had Bush Jr. again, then we had Obama, then we had Trump, and now we got Biden. So we only had, in my lifetime, and I'm 41 on 41, 3 Democratic presidents. Now, like I said, each Democratic president had 2 terms. Trump didn't, Bush Sr. didn't, but Reagan did, Bush Jr. did. And people really didn't like Trump and Bush Jr. At least from my Democratic perspective, people really didn't like Trump or Bush Jr. But Bush Jr. was here for 8 years. And so, like I'm saying, with that known, and like a lot of times when it comes to Congress, like if you pay attention, midterms, or there for the midterms, they usually got, if not the presidency and the House, they got the presidency and the Senate. Or they got the presidency, House, Senate, and all. Anyway, so, get out there and vote, Democrats. Let's keep this thing going, Democrats. But I'm playing, but still, you get what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, like, when it comes to that more government, less government on the program level, like when you talk about housing, when you talk about benefits, when you talk about, like, I can't really say the stimulus, John, because I know they said that Trump was having a problem with the stimulus, John, but at the same time, like, I think that it was checks and balances there. When Biden got in, it was like, we had all of it after Trump. They had the Black Lash, they called it. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Don't just I hate. And then I guess everybody hated Trump, so I don't know what Lash would call it. But social justice and like social justice reform, that's what I'm really trying to get to. Because like I said, when I look at that case and when I talk about my ex-girlfriend and I talk about how she wasn't even she was in the car and I had walked off, and I got into a situation, tussle ensued, and it was, you know, anyway, so there was no premeditation. There was no premeditation for what we were charged with, what transpired. There was no premeditation. So that had got me thinking, and I already told you about what I was thinking in the first hour. And I'm gonna go into the second hour saying, like, since there was no premeditation, and like I said, I talked to the detective because I felt like there was no premeditation, like, for what happened. So I felt like, she should go home. Like, I got out the car and whatever transpired, she wasn't even there for it. She wasn't on the street. I didn't even know the dude, like, whatever. I didn't know the dude. She wasn't in the street with me. She was in the car. What happened was like three of the short, like, you got the long way of the block and then you got the short, three of the short blocks away. So it was like, like, I'll come and give my side of the story and she should go home. And I did that. And what the guy did, what the detective did, I remember that he asked me if I wanted the soda. I can't remember if it was before or after I told him what happened. But he asked me if I wanted the soda. I think that was before. I sat down. We're supposed to be hospitable. So it's good cop, inside bad cop. I don't know. I'm joking. But anyway, they're supposed to be, it's strategies. They break it down in CSI. They break it down in CSI. But no, there is strategies. So, some people say it's the bathroom technique and stuff like that. They feed you sometimes, like if they take you on the box and they feed you. Like, come on in, like this. Like, I'm not a fan of First 48. I'm out the game. I'm a therapist now, but it kind of tweaks me out how people just break and start snitching on themselves. I don't understand it. I'm not pro-crime. It's just weird to me. I can't watch First 48. I can't watch a lot. I can't watch the Drugs Inc. or whatever it is, Gangland. It's not for me anymore. Like, I'm a intervention bull, and intervention fucks my head up. Like, the damage. Because, like I said, I've said this to groups. Like, I don't remember if it was a frenemy group or whatever. I'm pretty sure it was a group where I was encountering a lot of opposition. I had to sit back and say, all right, listen here, little niggas. You think there are people care about you after that hand-to-hand? They don't. All they see is a dollar sign. They're on the back of a trunk. They look down the block. Oh, here comes Billy. Billy always comes with that 50. Nah, he might get like, a whole bundle, depending on what you're selling. And you really don't know Billy history. You don't know Billy last name. You don't really care. You just see a dollar sign walking towards you as you're sitting on the trunk eating your chips. That's the face. It's better on the YouTube screen, but that's the face. You might even stop all conversation. You might continue conversation, but the whole time you're focused on Billy. You're like 3 blocks up, long way. You see him? He's sitting on the trunk. Parting to the side, homie standing like 2 feet into the street on that side, and y'all just. Anyway, like, I've been out there, so I'm not scared of you. Anyway, not that I want to cause friction or anything. We're not going there. Get off your feelings. I'm just saying. So it's times I was getting heavy opposition, and it's kind of a joke, but it's like. No, because, like, in the reality, like, you get watch intervention. Because, like, I've said it before and I'm going to keep saying it. Like, at that point, you see, like, it's not just a hand to hand. It's not just another gram in exchange for green. It's not just a faceless human being that you might kick, mug, push, or worse. It kind of humanizes. Maybe not. It depends on where you are in life. you know, at different stages. And like I'm saying, as a therapist that deals with the humanistic element and like really sees, like, I would say it's more because even as a therapist, I don't, unless you brought your family in, and I've had that happen. But like, you know, you develop relationships with these people, and the longer you counsel these people, the more you get to know these people. And I'm off on another tangent. But like watching drugs or watching while, like I'm saying, and I'm not looking down on people that watch drugs and come, like, yeah, I mean, you might have dealers in your family, you might have dealers in your street family, like, you know, family, but still at the same time, this is from my perspective. From my perspective, and as a therapist who's trying to help people get from hell to purgatory to the heavenly gates of the afterlife. And, you know, you have your own podcast and you have your own self-help segments and stuff like that. And 10 years you doing the TED Talk. You know. So the intervention show fucks me up a little bit, like, because like I said, it's not just seeing somebody. Because what really fucks me up is I've seen a couple people on the Philadelphia Kensington joint. I either knew them from the past or I've met them in the present. And though they didn't say, "Hi, I'm Sally from Intervention," going back and looking at it like, "Hey, I've seen her, met her," you know. So it's just crazy because, like I said, I've talked about that earlier last week, analyzing different things from a clinical lens, and that goes back to them systems. And I'm going back to the main focus, and then I'm gonna get back to you. But it's like, because, you know, and I can't make excuses, but I'm not trying to alienate people, especially if you're being gaslit. But and I'm on here. I'm not really trying to be political or open nobody's eyes or nothing like that. I'm not trying to grandstand on nobody. I'm just providing information. But like I said, it's like you go from, I know what it's like to be chilling. Like, you know, you don't mean no disrespect. Sometimes you don't really like a nigga at all, and you just see him as a dollar sign for real rap. It's like, I see this nigga 3 times a day, and I hate this nigga guts, but he come correct with that money. Then other times it is your people that you selling to, or you chilling with while they using, or they doing dumb stuff, or whatever. And sometimes it's like, you know what I mean, you strangers. Sometimes you got, just like in other things that people might look down on, you got your custodies, you got your regulars, you got, you know what I mean. But when I'm looking at the intervention, I keep saying that, but I'm looking at the intervention, and I said at that time to be funny. Like I said, you see the impact that it has on, like, the family, even if you've never served this person or you never thought about these things, because I never did. Like, I was doing the dumb stuff, I never thought about that. Sometimes, like, I've been in situations where we took over people's cribs and people was hitting people off for crack. And I probably told that story about, like, different situations. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, the fucked up thing is, I was in my teenage years. And I was, like I said, I didn't really care. What's even more fucked up is, like, you know what I mean? Like, when I talk about my ex, and when I talk about the familiar story, but from 2 opposite ends, I never looked at it like that. Like, even though I might not have been the one hitting the person off with crack, and I'm not saying that to be like, I'm not a bad person or was a bad person. I'm like, because I know people that's going to be out there like, oh, Rick ain't do that. That was my man that did that. And then it's going to be people like, they all guilty or whatever. Not to keep justifying stuff, but, you know, not gaslighters out there. Anyway, so, like, even reflecting on that, like, I know what my ex went through. I know what her family went through. I never even looked at it like that. Like, I know the effect it had on my ex because she had to grow up in that situation. Even though it wasn't my ex, we was the niggas, like, in somebody's crib with somebody's kids. Like, we were selling drugs out the crib, and the chick was using us to babysit. And I'm just saying, like, watching like I'm sitting here, like I can't even watch, like I said, the drugs and gangland because it's like, what? It's not that I feel like I'm better than them. It's just like I said, like I just at this point in life and through the clinical lens, I know what it does, the ripple it has through the systems. Like it makes people act out of character, and with that, like somebody who's a loving parent might become a neglecting parent, might become an abusive parent, might be doing stuff that's out of their normal behavior to get what they need. And like, like I said, like I can't act like I'm innocent, even though I've been removed from it all. Like I can't act like I'm anywhere near innocent because like I lived, I was there, I was watching, laughing as motherfuckers passed off crack. And I gotta say motherfucker, like I know you might not like the language, but I gotta say motherfucker, like I say in my group sometimes, like that's how real the shit is. Like that's how real the shit is. Like it's like that's how real that shit is. And like I'm saying, some people might be living the gangland life that might be mad at me, but that's what it is. Like one of my first days was like as strictly a substance abuse counselor, I had to say like it's a hard hitting subject. Like we can't, like I do try to develop a relationship with my uh, clients, the therapeutic alliance, but at the same time, like it's a raw subject. You out there, you in it, you in the thick of it. Like even if you in my office, depending on what stage of recovery you at, like you even in deep in like I don't know, I talked about them stories that I can't remember. So like I can't really speak for nobody else. I'm just saying like and like I said, I gotta sit and stuff hits me. Stuff hits me and so sometimes it fucks my head up. Like I ain't never even like I said, even though it's empathy, it's another major key tenet in the work I do. Like, I never thought of it then, like, fuck niggas up and laugh about. You get what I'm saying? Like, I done took people chains before. I've done robbed people before. I've done hand to hands before. I've done hit people for no reason before. I've done fucked up shit. And like I'm saying, like, as happy as I am now, when I met my ex, like, she was just as happy as I am now. Like, we don't talk like that. But like, you know what I mean? Throughout the years, like I know I ain't gonna go into her situation too much, but I know when we usually interact, it's usually I don't know. It is usually what it is. But like I'm saying, like, when I watched the two different shows, I'm pretty sure I got into it before, so I ain't even gonna focus on that. I'm gonna go back to the situation. So when I'm evaluating the court case out there during the project I was doing earlier, I was thinking about the policies and different situations. And like I said, like even though I was in the car and I got out the car and did what I did and all that, and then like what happened transpired and transued, whatever the word is. And I got back in the car and we attempted to leave because usually, like Jay said, not to always quote Jay-Z or lyrics in general, but like in my past, I've seen dudes get half of their views exposed to the curb and nobody says nothing. I've seen that mad times, like mad times. Like, like that's what I'm saying. They familiar stories. Like I've seen that mad times. Like, so, whatever transpired, it's like, all right, that's one big deal. We out, we escape. Now I ain't gonna get into all the conspiracy theory stuff, but so obviously we didn't escape. They pulled us over. I told what I felt like, you know what I mean, and like what happened. And basically, like I said, I felt like she should have went home that day. I told him, and like I was saying, like I started to say, I had explained to the gentleman, the detective, what had happened, and I basically said she had nothing to do with it because she was in the car. How the fuck? Like, we weren't both on the street. She never even seen the boy. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know the boy. She never seen the boy. So like, you know what I mean? Whatever transpired, transpired. And then, so at the point I ended telling him what happened, like immediately he gets excited. And like I could see it in his face. And I'm like, And he proceeds to tell me, like, and this is stuff that I've been thinking to myself over the last couple of days, what I'm gonna get to when I get to it. It's gonna be soon. I'm not. But he went on to say, I knew this part, and I've talked to other people about this part. I've learned about this part, but what I was thinking about the last couple of days, I'm gonna get to. So the detective gets excited, and it's like he's almost jumping in his chair, and he basically says to me, like, anything that you say that has like a certain amount of what you say in a definition of the penal codes, I guess, I can charge you with. So if you say the penal code allows for a sentence to fit this penal code or whatever it is, I don't know the textbook, I ain't do all that, they can charge you with it. And then he proceeds to tell me, like, yeah, I'm gonna throw the book at you. And that's what we do. And anybody who's been in crime life, even if you shoplifted, you would know, like, anybody who's caught any type of charge, you already know they're gonna throw everything they can at you. And then, like, he explained it, he broke it down. Like, we can throw everything at you, and then whatever sticks, you'll plead out to. And then he went on excitedly to say, like, and at this point, that was 18 years ago. So, and like, yeah, I mean, for the major stuff he threw at me, I took it to trial and beat it. So I don't really know how I feel. Like, for me, I've always felt more for my ex because, like, she had to do 30 days. We went through it together, but she was always a trooper. She was always, I mean, at the time, she was always down for me. So it was like, I mean, like, I guess that changed because she left. But anyway, that was a long time. But anyway, so he proceeds to tell me, like, that's what we do. I don't want to say it was a tactic, but it was a tactic. It's a tactic. It's a known tactic, especially for me going back to school and getting into this type of realm and this type of atmosphere, I guess. It's well known, like, they're going to throw what they can at you, and you're going to plead out to what you plead out to. You're going to take the best deal you think you can get. Now, if you're guilty, of course you want to take the deal. And I don't have no problem with that. I don't have no quarrel with that. Like, if you're guilty, you probably wiping the sweat off your brow, like, whew. But I wasn't, of the major crimes they charged me with, like, I always knew, like, no, I'm not eating that. No. Even when they dropped the one charge, like, when they dropped the major charge, they dropped the conspiracy. So my ex, her case was over, but I was still fighting the second charge, which was a lesser charge, but still a major charge. That's the one that I would have got 7 years if I got hit with. And not only did I get found not guilty, it was about both of them two charges. I ended up pleading out to 2 misdemeanors. And not only were they dropping the charges, like, it was a bench trial, which means there was no jury. It was the judge who knows the law better than the jury, because that's what my lawyer was going for. He was like, he asked for the bench trial. He was granted the bench trial. And even though, like, I've been, when I was working in the re-entry program, I went to somebody's court date, and the judge was trying to explain the charge and to the jury, and some of the jury still didn't get it. Like, he had to explain it to the jury like 4 times, and some of them still didn't get it. So anyway, and, like, I'm not going to go into charges. I'm pretty sure I might have went into charges in a different job, but the charges were explained to me. I don't know. I was the one that was dealing with the consequences, that if I would have got hit. So, like, I understood it, like, you know what I mean? And I still to this day understand it, like, you know what I mean? No, I didn't do either one. But what was weird is, like, I was upstate with the ball. Because I know what I did. I know what I did, and I know what I didn't do. And I didn't do what I was charged with. Now, I was upstate with the ball, and he got charged with the same thing. The only thing is, like, he really did do it. It wasn't even the same. It wasn't the same situation. I'm trying to explain it in a way where, like, you know, all right, so this is how I'm explaining. Like, in my situation, it was like I was at the checkout counter and I was bagging up my stuff and accidentally put something in my bag that I didn't scan already, but I thought I scanned because I was thinking internally or running my mouth to check in the next lane, whatever. And when I'm walking out, the security guard hits me, like grabs me as soon as I hit that door. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And he brings me back in and is like, all right, we're charging you with shoplifting. And I'm like, I ain't shoplifting. What are you talking about? It's on camera. You threw the shit in the bag. We saw you. We got you. I'm like, hey, you know. So, and then another person, he takes whatever he takes and runs out the door. He did this shit. I mean, it was like, I mean, not to downplay it or nothing like that. Like I said, I'm not going to go into it. It was just like I was upstate, and a lot of things hit me upstate. Like, I was sitting upstate and we were talking on the wall. There was a wall between my cubicle and another cubicle. And the ball was talking to me. I don't even remember what he was saying. And this is a major case I was fighting, but that was when I was upstate. That was like 10 years ago. This happened 18 years ago. So I was upstate, and the boy was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm saying. Then he started talking about his co-defendant snitching. And the funny thing is, my co-defendant snitched when I went upstate. But it's like, hold on. It fucked my head up because, like, I don't know why, but at that time, that was like 10 years after I quit the charge. I'm like, oh, there's a such thing as snitching. He got away with it because he snitched. And I always knew, like, my definition is somebody that snitches, like, you snitching because you're trying to get out of trouble. You're not the average citizen that's, like, you know what I mean, trying to prevent crime and shit like that. You snitching, you throwing your homie under the bus, or somebody you know that knows somebody that did a crime that you wanted to do when you did and you got in trouble. Like, you know, it's not the same to me. But I don't know, it was just, like, weird because it hit me like, that's an option. So you telling me that you just worked it out where you snitch and you got away? That's just something people do. I don't know. It was weird. So at the same time, like I said, like I kind of understood why the DA might have charged me, but I was still not guilty. So with that said, what the whole story said, it basically what it comes to is what I'm thinking about recently. And like I said, with the whole, I had to think about and evaluate, like, she really wrote out. Like, she really wrote out. And I feel like I wrote out for her, and I guess she didn't recognize that right away. Because, like, I would have did, like, if she would have went home, I would have did the 7 years, no problem. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of stupid like that. Because, like, I also thought that I was walking in the store one time, and the chick did the 7 years for some dude, and she said she wasn't even involved in it. And then he left out, like, she sentenced him. Now, I don't know, but I didn't have to do that. So, and it's not saying I'm guilty, but, like, that was somebody I was deeply in love with, I really cared about, and that was even before some other situations we got into. That, like, you know, that's a different rant. Not to say that I don't know, but anyway, so with all that said, like, I don't know, it just hit me earlier. I don't know if I was freestyling internally. I was definitely listening to music. I don't know where. And the other stuff that I'm about to say was thoughts from the past couple weeks. And then not only that, the other stuff comes from, like I said, being in the field, dealing with people still in the that phase of life, trying to reach recovery or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I was thinking about, I guess, how happy the detective was about, like, you know, because I always feel like he overreached because I knew I didn't do that shit. Like, I didn't do that. That wasn't what I did. Now, what the two misdemeanors, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. But, like, the other charges that they tried to bang me with, like, they was trying to take my life. They was really trying to take my life. Like, and like I said, I ain't getting into no conspiracy theories, but they were trying to take my life and still have me breathing. Trying to take my life. So, you know, it just got me thinking, like, even earlier while I was doing the yard project, I'm freestyling myself, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, freestyle gives you a lot of insight, a lot of time to reflect and look back. And it can be a very therapeutic and introspective thing. But anyway, so I'm sitting there and at this point, like my freestyles are more social justice, economic justice, reform, some reflective, some stuff like that. Like, say I can't rap about dope. Say I can't rap about dope. I don't know. So, like I said before, I've evolved with not just Jay-Z. I feel like Jay on the relationship and some political, I'm growing with him. And on other things, I feel like I was with Nas, like 2005, Streets of Sight, 2009, 10, life was good. The nigga tape, fuck was dead. Anyway, so I still like gangster rap. I still like the metaphors and stuff like that, and I'm all over the place, but I'm gonna keep it focused. So when it comes to that, it's like I gotta think, like, when it comes to the field, when it comes to social justice, when it comes to economic justice, when it comes to different things, different benefits, different social economic debates, different resources, different programming, different things, different ideologies. Like I've said, the F being like a scarlet letter, like a different X. Like I don't know how to put that, but I had a ex, and again, like from what she told me, she had never been involved in any type of street life crazy stuff or anything like that. From what she told me, I believe her. But and even like I ain't gonna go into all that because I believe who she was, and I believe that she got dealt a bad hand. I'm not gonna go too far into it because that's not my story. I'm just gonna say there was an accident that happened I was told about, and just like I'm saying, she made a mistake. She made a mistake that put that stigma on her for, I guess, for life, unless she takes steps to eliminate that. But like I said it then. It's like I probably said it before I met her because in my school we had to do a project. We had to do a paper, I guess, on developing policy. And I know for me, when it came to different, not that my criminal history ain't extensive, like, and I'm not getting into that. And like, I'm just saying, like, I felt like I walked away at the right time. And that time was years ago, so leave me alone. Anyway, when it comes to certain things, it was just on some, I know certain beliefs, like, and I'm talking about like real street dudes, like real street dudes be like, yo, I got that F on my jacket. Ain't no turning back from me. Like, whether it's one F or 50, like, whether it's one F or 50 Fs, like, it's like a scarlet letter on your jacket. And I know that my whole time coming up, because like for me, it's like, I mean, and even in the neighborhood, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we got, we got what we got. All right, so even in the neighborhood I grew up in, even though it's like the suburb outside of Philly, it's like everybody I know outside of like my brother and my sister, my brother and sister friends, everybody I know were either on probation. Everybody I know was on probation except for I think one person at a young age as a juvenile. And I would say everybody but one person sold drugs that I knew at different times in life. Some people did it later in life. Some people did it early in life. Some people. And I say that because like even as you reach adulthood, is now just not probation. Now you're either on probation, parole, or incarcerated, been incarcerated, coming home, whatever. So it's like, for a lot of my teenage years, young adult years, even after I walked away from the street and still around certain people, it's like, what do you do now? Or there's no hope. And these are the ideologies I'm talking about. Like, there's no hope. There was already a belief and no resources. And, some people might think like, oh yeah, you across the creek from the city and it's a small creek. Like, yeah, I joke when I say that, but like, and you got more resources than me. But I'm gonna say it like this: growing up, I'm not even gonna get into that. I'm not even gonna get into that. I'm just gonna stick with the common beliefs. So basically, what I'm saying is like when it comes to these, like the F on your jacket, when it comes to the different stigmas related to past behaviors. And I've talked to people on the other end who feel like, once, if you're a criminal, there is no redeeming qualities. There is no going back. Like, there is no changing. A leopard never changes its spots. But no, I can attest firsthand to that. And like I said, you see how goofy I am. Like, I feel like people try me all day because of how goofy I am. And like, for the most part, life is good. So I try not to feed in the dumb stuff. Like, it's the good life for me. That's why I call it the afterlife. Like, I don't need you messing up my chick. Not to prove that I can knock your teeth down your throat. Like, I don't need you messing up my chick. You only gonna end up with your teeth knocked down your throat. Like, don't mess with my chick. Like, I told you, I went from no rap break to leave me alone. Like, it's not gonna end well for you. Like, the shenanigans aside, it's not gonna end well for you. Fisticuffs are beyond. It's not gonna end well for you. Please leave me alone. Anyway, like, I don't know. I don't know why people be acting stupid. Like, it's not going to end well for you. Like, as goofy as I act, and that's why I want to preserve what I got. Like, I got goals, and like Jay-Z said again, my time is money. At 25, I can't afford it. Right now, I ain't even got no money, but still, like, this is the start. This is the start. Like, we laid that foundation. This is the start. And I'm 40. I ain't got 25 to be playing with you. I ain't got 25 to be giving it to the state or to the fucking county or to the, you can't give it to the county, but I'm not giving the state 25 years to be playing with you. It's not going to end well. Leave me alone. Anyway, so with the different ideologies, it's like, not only like I'm familiar with them. Like, I'm familiar with them. I'm familiar with different reasons people sell drugs. I'm familiar with different reasons people commit crimes. I'm familiar with different things, but in my afterlife, I'm also familiar with different things from this side. Like, you get what I'm saying? Especially like, I'm basically, like, when I say guy engineering, like, I'm glad as that I went the social worker route. Like, I had some people that said it's a women's field. Well, I got testosterone and something big between my legs. Hey, I'm gonna stop talking. Anyway, I'm glad I went that route because it gives you a deeper understanding. And like I said, like, I don't know if I would have continued with the psychology route if it would have had the broad view and broadened my view as much as social work has to different aspects. Because I know trauma is trauma, and it's like I said, belief, perspective, approach, theory. But like, the systems and all that, and how things manifest from different outside influences, and understanding that is really, in a sense, my job, because now I'm providing psychoeducation to individuals to help. Because like, I know in certain instances, things help me just understanding certain things. Like, I guess, like I said, I've always been a more introspective, analytic person. I don't know, not to toot my own horn. It's just that's what I do. So I don't know, just understanding different things have always helped me, and it's always like I got, like my man Styles P says, I got a thirst for knowledge. What it really means, mine got a hunger pain. I don't know. So what I'm coming to is like I said, when I'm talking about that and talk about different situations, it's like, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm familiar with that familiar life. And I'm very familiar, even though I haven't died. And I made it to whatever age I made it to before really doing a sentence in jail. Like, I'm very familiar with the life, and I'm very familiar with different aspects of the life. Even though if people felt like my home life was as perfect as can be, I'm still up in the hood, like in your spot, like roaches, like rats, whatever. I'm still, you know what I mean? That was in the past. So I definitely, whether I'm in my neighborhood, whether I'm in other neighborhoods, and it's not something I'm trying to brag about. It's just like, I've been in different situations. I've been around similar people that might look at me weird now because of my antics and my shenanigans. But like I say, it's like, I enjoy my afterlife. I enjoy the knowledge I've acquired. I've enjoyed the field. I enjoy trying to help usher people from hell to rock bottom to purgatory to fucking the afterlife, where people, even though I got a degree, some people might be living better than me. Like, you know what I mean? It ain't a credential thing to me. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? Just here as God has brought me here. Now He's using me as a vessel. He's using me as a conduit to help others. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who can help you? Like, people have said that. Who can help you better than somebody who's navigated their way through it? But like I'm saying, like, so the situation that I'm focusing on and keep rambling off of is like, and it's not an anti-cop thing to me. It's I don't know, like maybe every couple of years we need to really examine, especially right now in this trauma-informed atmosphere, in this an age of second wave age of enlightenment, I guess, because like I feel like even me, like that's what I'm saying, especially from somebody like myself or somebody who's lived that experience, like you understand different things. It stay woke, like like. And I was thinking about doing an article because I got this book idea I want to write that's field based, maybe self help, whatever you want to say. I don't know if I'll write it now or wait till get some more credentialing of some of those licenses or something like that. But like I could write it now, whatever. But I also have different article ideas because it's like you hear it. Like I was talking the other day during the Fat Boy Foodie segment about Tupac, whether it's Tupac, whether it's Jay-Z, whether it's DMX, whether it's Eminem, whether it's, you know what I mean? Art is a reflection of life, and like you're painting pictures with words. Like that's what Beanie Siegel said. You're painting pictures with words, and Eminem said like we painting pictures of familiar stories. That's not how it said it, but that's basically what it said. We painting pictures of familiar stories, and people connect to the music, the art, whatever. Whether it's a music, it's a form of music or a artistic depiction, like a painting or something like that. You find something you can relate to. You find people that can relate to the same thing. You find cultures. You find, and when I say culture, like the clinical, I gotta go clinical. It's because like sometimes we think of culture, like when we say the hip hop culture, the sports culture, it's a group of people that have shared interests, you know what I mean? So when we talk about diversity, when we talk about culture, when we talk about, it's not just ethnicity, background, it's not just religion, it's encompassing of anything that has a large group that has similar interests, values, ways of life, stuff like that. So like, in this age, second age of enlightenment, because I guess there was a first age. As the historian I am, I should know these things. But I think even in the urban culture, and even in, like, you see the guy who from Morehouse who paid the whole tuition for the graduating class now, and he's a black man. That's bullshit. That's right there. That's bullshit. Like, I don't give a fuck how many churches sell. That's bullshit. Like, one person tuition, like, nigga, like, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but like, and why I say that is, like, you know, we do have like entertainers that are reaching a bill, and their kids and their kids and their kids, grandkids is going to be old money. So we coming into minority old money. Like, yeah, I mean, we might be starting with generation X. Like, and it's funny to me because I've been thinking about that lately. Like, not to keep jumping around because, like, I'm trying to stay focused, but you already know if you. But the generation X, and like when I joke and say like we presidential age now, and like being from Generation X and being presidential age it's a joke, and it definitely started out as a joke, but now I'm analyzing more. Like in the last couple of days, I've been saying like Generation X, you had the baby boomers. Like the baby boomers were our parents, who, like, you know, they were the generation of both parents working, both parents they were coming off that World War II, that civil rights, that women's liberation movement, women's lib, whatever you call it. Now, like, I also see it like, and those are all good, positive things, and those are things you'll probably learn in school. The flip side that you might not learn until you're in a master's program or something like that. You might hear conspiracy theories, and we're moving further into the future, so I don't know how much you will hear. Because, like I told you, when growing up, I used to see that footage of the black kids getting hosed down and dogs sick on them damn near every day. It seemed like, I don't know, as a kid in 85, 86, 87. I don't know how it is for my daughter, if she ever seen that. I don't remember showing her. So I don't know, like, and that kind of stuff was supposed to have sparked like Martin Luther King's involvement. And I think something that the guy who really sparked the stuff, I don't remember if he was involved in that incident, but he just died during the pandemic. They just had his funeral, like you know. So he was like, you know what I mean? So, but when I'm saying the flip side is like the conspiracies and the confirmed knowledge of, like, you know, coming off that MLK, coming off that Malcolm X, coming off that John F. Kennedy, that Robert F. Kennedy, they say that I think Robert F. Kennedy's killer might be getting parole, even though he was granted parole like 40 years ago. I guess it was denied or something. He's up for parole again. But anyway, so like I'm saying, like off of that, and then enter into, because, you know, Nixon lost to JFK. So Nixon was around. And then after JFK was killed, the vice president, Lyndon B. Johnson, took office, but then he came in Nixon. Now, during my school, I was watching this documentary that they assigned to us for policies. No, because I was talking about a different assignment where we were talking about policies. The F1 jacket. I should be writing this stuff out. I'm gonna tell the first policy, John, that I guess I steered away from, and then I'm gonna come back to this. And I might have already talked about this, but anyway, the first John, the policy, John. I was trying to. They said it was a fictitious policy. We're doing assignment for school. So, like, you know, my policy that I was coming up with was, like, you know, like I said, I don't have an extensive criminal history, but I do have a criminal history. And early on, especially early on, even though I was told by multiple people in this field, like I wouldn't have a problem getting past. I even met people when I got home that were working and had still on parole and had the, you know what I mean? And a lot of them did more time than I did. So, I don't know. It could have been discouraging that time, but whatever. It was really, like, whatever. So when I came to this class and they asked me to do create a policy, my thing was like, you know, it's fictitious policy. I was just saying, like, you know, to lend some credibility to somebody who's trying to change their life, to give somebody, to provide an opportunity for somebody who's trying to establish themselves, not just go through the motions, not just try to. And everybody needs a check because this is capitalist society, and you got to survive. You got to eat. You got to feed your family. You got to do what you got to do, and you hope that you do it legally. But it's like, you know, my policy was like, all right, so they already came up with ban the box at that time, but like there's still tape around the ban the box. But my whole thing was, all right, so to help also help combat these things, if you could get like 3 to 5 professional reference letters early in your career, maybe not later when you've already worked at an organization for a number of years, or you already have a network in the field, or you already know people, or you already are knowledgeable enough that when you get granted a interview, you can land the interview because you got the knowledge, skills, and ability. So starting off, I was like, you know, my policy would be that they would adopt the system where, like, if you can get 3 to 5 quality people to professionals to vouch for you, and I say that because that adds question, not because to make it tough on people. Like, it's not to make it tough on people, but for people that are really trying to steer away from certain behaviors and do like, and really start this adulting. I call it OP adulting. They're like, you know, throwing criminality in there too. So, you know, to start this OP adulting, we get some people that really know us. Like, I was at the reentry program too, again, and I don't know, maybe that's something that they can start advocating for. There was this group called, I just had it, participatory defense. And what they did is they would, and I was, when I first came home, I was a family member had hooked me up with one of his family members that was doing this initiative that was it was a safety initiative. It dealt with juveniles in the juvenile system, and basically they were an older brother. It was, I don't want to say older brother, it was like a mentor. And they, throughout their trial, like I said, I went back there forth to court for 10 months. So like sometimes, you know, that's what it is. So even sometimes when you take a plea deal, like, you know what I mean, you 10 months before they really call you shit. So like, you know, I was working with them, like I can't say I was instrumental, but I came to a series of their meetings, the public safety initiative. And then with the reentry program years later, they had the participatory defense, and both of them basically developed a relationship or rapport with the defendant. Or with, I think the participatory defense, they might have just went off the character testimony of people that know you. With the public safety initiative, they got to know the juvenile offender and tried to be a mentor to modeling that self-object, you know what I mean? Develop that relationship. It might be an attachment issue. So, somebody to show them that there's other things, somebody that can share those cautionary tales and like really provide a different outlook at an earlier age. And then some with the participatory defense, it's like, you know, sometimes you're in fucked up situations, like seriously. And that's what, sometimes you're in fucked up situations, like systems broke down. You're in a fucked up situation. But anyway, along with those type of initiatives, it's like, you know, if you can get like 3 to 5 quality people in whatever field it is that I know, like right now, or at least when I was coming home, I don't know when they established it. They established that bonding for like, I guess, trades, but I think even in different, like I think the tattoo business can do it. Like it's like a type of insurance, but you really hope that things will work out and you really don't need to use the insurance. Like, you get what I'm saying? But it's in case of something was missing. I ain't gonna say stole, but in case of something missing, you know, you get to replace your tool or whatever it is. So it's along those kind of lines, but it's like, you know, and like I said to myself earlier, like I've looked in people's faces, and I'm nobody. At this point, like, even now, like, and I don't say that in a derogatory, self-defeating way. It's like, I feel like I have big, grandiose plans, and I feel like I really have a lot of things that I want to accomplish. But, like, for me, it's like, you know what I mean? Right now, I'm nobody. And for me to look into somebody's eyes who, like, I've had the conversation, I don't know if it was once, twice, 3 times, but I've had the conversation where, like, why are you giving me this opportunity? Why do you believe in me? Like, why? Now, it's been a while, but, like, I've had those conversations. I've seen the look on people's face. Like, I guess, like, and I'm even now, and that's probably why, for me, I want to give back so much. It's like, nobody believed me. Like I told you earlier, like, people look down on me, like, the rest of my life, I ain't never give a fuck. So, like, for me, like, that's been instilled in me, like, my whole life. Like, nigga, you gonna have to get off your ass if you're planning to be rich. Like, that's Tupac, but still, like, that's basically what it is. Like, ain't nobody giving you shit. Like, you gotta make something. But, like, and I know the ideology of I ain't the one to put you on, because when I was broke, the hustle till dawn. But I don't know, that's just not in me. It's like, I know what it's like to have doors slammed in your face. So it's like, yeah, me. Even though I feel like God has gotten me to the point I'm at now and will continue to walk beside me, if not carry me or land me rock to rock in the high tide, you know, like, yeah. So, like, I don't know, like I said, it's that empathy thing. It's that I know what it's like. And not everybody has that. Well, fuck you, I'm going to keep going. And if I got to run you over, I'm going to run you over attitude. Sometimes no can be like a fucking guillotine or somebody in that. Sometimes, like, you know, shutting that door can break somebody's spirit or give somebody more rage. Certain situations can fester destruction. So, you know, like, I ain't Jesus, and I ain't Jesus. And I'm not, like, you know what I mean, trying to be no God or prophet or nothing like that. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I joke in other journals, and I talk about it now, like, people tell me that they doing God's work, and talk about taking stuff from people. And then there's me who, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know why I do the stuff I do. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's that fucking intervention show versus gangland. I don't fucking know. Don't ask me. I just know, like I'm saying, like, understanding growth, knowing self-objects, knowing defeat, knowing lessons in defeat, knowing how to regroup, problem solve, knowing that nothing's guaranteed, but what you put in, you hope to get out. I don't know. So for me, it's like, you know what I mean? Like I said, I know what it's like, not just to have that conversation of like, why are you? And it's weird because, like, you know, and I know that feeling, like that skepticism, but that's not even the look I'm getting. It's like, it's the way I'm saying it, like, why? But I can see it in their face, like that. It's still empowering them that somebody who never had anybody believe in them, nobody nurture them, nobody. I don't want to say they were neglected. They probably had their street fam, and that was probably it. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I believe in myself, and like even as confident, cocky, hard, whatever you want to say you are in the street, like having somebody that'll vouch, give you a chance, give you a helping hand, like they say it empowers people, and I've seen it in people's faces, like as they wonder, like, what the fuck, what lottery did I win? And like I said, I ain't nobody. I ain't nobody. I'm just I just got a lot of ideas to help people and try to help people. I've helped people, but like on a grandiose scale that I'm trying to accomplish. And even with check out that State of the Union, even with that, it's like, yeah, I mean, trying to give back and do different things is just trying to open doors. And I don't know. I forgot what I was saying. Just open doors, provide hope, provide like those resources and things that, like, I've heard, like, why do you want to work with returning citizens? Like, why do you want to work with returning citizens, whether it's at the tattoo shop or anywhere else? It's like I said, in this OP adulting, like what I've learned, like what I see in people's faces, even when they come into my office cursing out their girlfriend, cursing out their wife, cursing out their husband, like mad at their kids, like no way do they want to go backwards. You get what I'm saying? No way do they want to trade their life. Now, I'm not saying that people don't relapse. I'm not saying that people don't make bad decisions ever, but like what I'm saying is, for the most part, that everybody gets tested. Jesus was tested. Jesus was tested before he got crucified. Like, Jesus was tested by the devil. Like, who gonna test you worse than the devil? So, and I ain't Jesus. Like, none of us are. So, like, and I say that not to discourage people, but I know people that'll come at me like, like, oh well, my uncle Larry, 12 years clean, relapse. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry, but like, you get what I'm saying. And like I'm saying, giving somebody that hope, instilling that hope for the future, and even that, like, just giving somebody that chance. Like, some people are going to try to rape that chance. Some people are going to try to take advantage of the chance. But like, when you, like I told you, I read people, so I know people are like, oh, he dumb. He ain't reading. He ain't right. You can play all that shit you want. You can talk that shit, walk like, if you got that type of attitude, I read that too, believe me. Like, and like I said, I'm not trying to be beefing with nobody, but I already know the comments that are made and stuff like that. So like I'm saying, like, why would you, I've had that conversation, why would you help? Like, one, I am, the fuck is you talking about? What the fuck is you talking about? Like, if, like, and if I had to knock down doors, if I had to kick in windows, and that's the metaphorical, to blaze trails, I'm nobody. Like, what I'm saying? Like, fuck out of here. What you think, I'm gonna just shut the door behind me? No, come on in, my niggas. We here. We presidential age. We legitimizing this shit no more. Like, I told you, like, I'm trying to, like, I never, it's surreal to me. I told you that before. Like, I never set out life to fucking try to reduce recidivism. But if I can help, like, I just know I'm very ambitious. I know, like I said earlier, I can't do everything by myself. And like, if I can, I know the different art forms that are upstate incarcerated. Like I said before, I've seen people fill their whole cabinets with pictures on handkerchiefs, pictures on envelopes, pictures, poems, different things. I've talked to people that, when I was upstate, that was writing books. I sat in my cube and looked across the cube to somebody banging on their keyboard. And at first, I'm like, what is this nut-ass kid doing? But then we hit the yard, and there's 50 niggas freestyling. They hit their button, and they got some like Timberland, Just Blaze type, you know what I'm saying? And the whole section in the yard rocking, and it's like the Jailhouse concert, and it's like, like, and they going hard on these beats, not come out with 50 rappers, got 16 beats, and they just going like, bang. Anyway, like I'm just saying, there's a lot of different art forms. So, and you already know, like at certain times, I don't know about now, because like now there's probably more security and more security. But you know, at one point in time, like prison tattoos were a big thing. Like I've seen people come home and doing prison tattoos and really try to get into the trade. So, like if like I was trying to get in negotiations to do different things, but if it's just a referral system and like, you know what I mean? Because like you do it for the love, I guess, but for some people, like it's stability. Like it's like I said, it's survival over persona. Like if you give somebody a chance to make 600 a day, moving work and risking their lives, risking getting shot at, risking getting robbed, risking, you know what I mean? Like, why not get 600 a day doing what you do naturally as an artist or learn to do as a kid as an artist? Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody might not be Jay-Z, but you might be able to do something with your talent. And that's all I'm saying. Like, whether it's the tattoo shop or I'm able to put together the landscaping business, aquascaping, hardscaping, like each one teach one. That's what they say. No child left behind. No nigga left behind. No minority, no person on earth left behind. I don't know. Like, I don't know what make me do that. But all the policy, and like I'm saying that what I was getting to with the whole thing, and I'm still going to go back to the other assignment I had. I'm trying to wrap this up because I try to make these joints an hour, but I'm running my mouth. I got a whole Mike Missinality 3-6 hour. Yeah, I mean, I ain't got the ball and the check, but I'm gonna get my Mike Missinelli on. Because on the radio, he's a dodo. So yeah, it's Philly. So the whole point and what I'm thinking about earlier is like, through that whole experience, and even like I keep saying, reflecting and memories being triggered and scenarios being triggered and thoughts being triggered. It's like, and I say that to my clients, like, especially in substance abuse, like I understand the ideology, and people, this can be considered a field joke. I'm not trying to put nobody out there. I'm not trying to, I mean, you would know your therapist or your counselor approach. But, and I'm not trying to say that any approach is right or wrong. I'm just saying these are my opinions. These are my views. This is how I feel like. Like, in the substance abuse realm, I feel like, it's been celebrated in my face that some people have that guilty until proven innocent view. And I understand that. That's what I just said. I understand that. Like, coming from that familiar story, that majority of the people ain't nobody honest. Like, I was talking to somebody the other day about my tattoo. I got the tattoo. Like, sometimes I flash the survivor because I was supposed to be in debt or in jail before the age of 18, 21. Then I got the loyalty on this one. I don't know if you can see it. But somebody asked me about it. And I was like, it's like kind of a play on words. It's an oxymoron. Like, with the code of the streets is like silence and loyalty is the code of the streets. But then you gotta remember it's no honor amongst thieves. So like, I mean, I started a freestyle out like that, like probably like 4 years ago. But so it's a play on words, like, through all this gaslight situation, surviving the gaslight mini doc. It was like as loyal as I've been, and you hear my thoughts, and even with my street fam, like that's how I've always been. Like even with my street fam, that's how I've always been. We're gonna rock to death, whatever, and right or wrong, whether it's code red or you're dead wrong, my nigga. Street fam, we get it on. But turns out, you know what I mean. Anyway, so. Guilty until proven innocent. So when I say that, like, I understand the ideology of guilty until proven innocent because, like, I'm gonna try something that I don't know if it'll work or not. probably won't try it because I don't know if wires will permit. Sorry, I know we talked about certain things, but bang, bang, bang. Anyway, so I know that belief, and like I said, there's like I also know the hard nosed grab them by the collar belief, and like at this point, like I've seen that work. I've seen that work. Like when I tell you, sometimes I gotta fold my hands, sit back in my chair, and say, "All right, motherfucker, here comes the pain. It's about to get real." Like sometimes that has been more effective, but like I do believe in, and like I said, I know that the field evolves. I just had an interview the other day, and like this trauma informed is, even though CBT is new to the field, CBT was developed in like '78, and trauma informed is like I can't really tell you the pinpoint of where it really started to pick up steam and stuff, but like I can tell you from textbooks, from knowledge, from talking to people like about the grab you by the collar approach, from talking to people about harm reduction versus complete abstinence. Like certain things are changing. Like I was talking to somebody, like even where they said that the medical model, but then I've read stuff that, because I'm a new graduate, so it's like the medical model will meet the patient, diagnose the patient, treat the patient. And so in my learning, I'll put it like that, in my recent learning with the trauma informed, with the harm reduction, with different views, it's different because like a complete abstinence is more of a AA, NA. And those are great tools, those are great things to use. And even with the different populations, there's different things, but we'll leave it at that. That's for something else. But when I say that, it's like I'm saying like different ideologies and how it's fluid, how it evolves, how it goes from like my training as a 40-year-old just graduating at 39 with my master's versus somebody who has graduated in like 98 or been in the field since 98. It's like I've learned like some people don't all adhere to the same ideology, even with this medical marijuana. Like I remember probably like 10 years ago, they hadn't approved medical marijuana for mental health disorders. And now like they're learning more, there's more literature, there's more stuff. Like I don't know about studying because it's still not FDA approved and stuff like that. It's still not federally regulated. And you can't really, there are people doing studies, but they're not like official studies. But even that, like that's, but anyway, so I'm gonna go back to the original topic. So even with all that, it's like when you say, and like my whole thing is, like I said, what I was thinking about, I've been thinking about over the last couple of days, but even with that approach and what I say, usually when somebody joins my group or somebody comes in my office for the first time or something like that, it's like I respect the Officer Bangham justice, like approach to therapy. I respect it. But my approach is usually different. My approach is usually like, I'll give you the rope to hang yourself. Like I said, believe it or not, whether you think I'm a moron, absolute moron, especially with my playful shenanigans, if you think I'm an absolute moron or you think I'm just ugly, you don't respect ugly people. I don't think I'm ugly, so. But if that's your criteria for intelligence, like, and I've met people that's their criteria for intelligence. If whatever it is that rubs you the wrong way about me, like one, I ain't gonna let that get in the way of me helping you with whatever you deal with. Two, it's like, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm a, believe it or not, I'm a great reader person. So like if you half-assed in treatment, I don't know it. If you committed the treatment, I don't know it. If you tell me what you think I want to hear, I don't know it. And like I'm saying, I'm still want to use interventions, and I'm still want to use lived experience to cut through the bullshit, basically. Like the lived experience helps cut through the bullshit. The interventions helps you recover. So that's what it is. And sometimes like that's what it is when shit gets real. Like it's about to get real, and that was real. Those real lived experience conversations are about to get real, and you're gonna feel like your dad is going, you sinking into yourself. But you know, like I said, like I've like is tree hugging and as therapeutic alliance based as I would like to be, like those seem to be more effective at times than the tree hugging. But I still believe in it. Like, I still believe in that. It is like the field is very individualized. And sometimes you got to regroup. Sometimes you got to dust yourself off. But anyway, with all that said, those are just examples. I don't know why I'd be running on like that. Like this, you know, it's a lot of time. Anyway, I play. But anyway, like I said, I gotta think about like even with that approach, it's like when you got that F on your jacket or when you're in the interrogation. I'm just saying, like, you know, I was thinking about what I was thinking about, like what I said at the top of this, and it was really on some like, you know, one, we didn't do the crime. Two, she was in the car for the crime, and three, like the dude was way too happy. And I've always said that they overreached, but looking back now, like yeah, he broke it down to me. Like I'm throwing the book at you, and whatever sticks sticks. It's how we boost our conviction rate because you're gonna plead out to something and not get a conviction. It was on two misdemeanors, but he got a conviction. And like I've said over this time in the field, I've had those conversations. It's not like I've told you. It's not just case management. It's not just therapy. Like I've worked at reentry. I was introduced to participatory defense. I've been introduced to public safety initiatives. I've talked to I did time with another organization where they were developing safety captains for the neighborhood and establishing safe ways to navigate through rough areas. Like, you know, I've really learned different things in my journey. Like I said, I started out with the vision of a couch with soccer moms and post office dads, and like I've dealt with everything from youth with behavioral diagnosis. I've had the conversation about oppressive language. I've had the conversations about oppressive language that re-traumatized. That's why we use the his and her pronouns and stuff like that. And I'm seeing that pop up in different aspects of life that I've never seen it pop up. So even with that, like I said, I think it's time to really, with all this, like I said, age of enlightenment, and it's not just, and that goes back to the, I know it seems like I'm all over the place, but that goes back to me talking about like the rappers and the presidential age, because it's like I'm saying, like you can hear it even in rappers like DaBaby, rappers like Little Baby, rappers like Little Turk or whatever his name is. Like you hear it. You not only hear the lived experience, you not only hear the anger, frustration, desperation, you hear that they know the trauma. They acknowledge like you know, because I have a conversation with some people. I ain't gonna call them dumb, but they don't, and they think like people aren't smart enough to grasp these things. They think that things go over people's heads, and they think that people are stuck in their ways. And they, like I'm saying that to me, I kind of, because I'm 40, so I kind of attribute that to like I had to go through. You know, it's not no DMX song. I had to go through a lot of different stages in life. So like. For me, I attribute that to the lived experience and going through different stages. But like to hear younger people in their 20s, early 20s, like 20, 21, 18, like not only just talk about shoot 'em up, dang, dang, but talk about and it's not just like J. Cole's and stuff like that. Like, check out, like, really listen to that Middle Child joint, especially that second verse. Like, that Middle Child, like, that's a record. That's a powerful record. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're really listening, like, and I don't know if it's a childhood of, like, I don't know if it's a child product of Tupac, which was a byproduct of Panthers, byproduct of Malcolm, byproduct of Martin. I know my family, like I said, they were a good family. They tried to do the best. I was just an uplift, like around my house. It's like a museum, and you had a lot of Afrocentric stuff. But like I'm saying, it's not at this point. It's not a social economic. It's not a white black thing in some in urban settings. I'll put it like that because I don't get me feelings. Like it really is a social economic thing, and at this point, it's like they keep saying like the middle class is disappearing. Like I said, check out that State of the Union address. We're trying to reverse trickle down from the middle out. I don't know if I laid down the initiative during the State of the Union address or not. I think if not, I touched on it, and you don't have to search through the page, through the reruns, hit that on demand, but and scroll through the page. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'll be playing too much. But what I'm saying is, like, for me, like, I looked at it for a while up until probably recently. Like, it's we reached the Generation X's are reaching that presidential age. Like, Obama is. I don't know if he's a Generation X or a baby boomer, but you know. And the sad thing is, like, you see DMX, some people will say certain things. You see John Singleton, you see Chadwick Boseman. It's a bunch of dudes, and Chadwick Boseman might have been younger than me. So, like, you know, like me, that's like, I had that conversation with a group. Like, for me, I focus on trying to secure the bag, but like a lot of people focus on their health, and as you should. But you know, like, how can you hit the gym if you're homeless? I don't know. That's how I see it. Like, I don't know. Not to be disrespectful, but that's just me. Like priority wise, like some people will talk. Like, I have people say just work on your abs and somebody will take care of you. Like, I don't know. I ain't never been the let somebody else take care of me type dude. Like, I told you, like, while my one ex was doing certain things, like, not illegal or not shady or nothing, but she was basically carrying me on her back, and I wasn't feeling that. And even now, like, my daughter mom be like, I don't need nothing from you. And like most men don't love that. And I'm not down in most men, but like that ain't I was raised like, no, I ain't. Anyway. So I'm just saying, like, certain shit, I don't know. But I'm saying, like, no, I was alluding to the lost generation. That's what I was coming to at one point. But I'm still going back to the guilty until proven innocent. And that's what I was talking about with the maybe we should review different things, because even like I said, the his and her program, and like I said, even when I talked about the pit bulls and parolees Rant, and you can see how the trauma informed work through that. And I know I mentioned that twice, but I don't think I really got to the. I know in one conversation I did, and the other conversation I ran it, and I don't think I got to it. But the whole point was like to see the dogs go from these aggressive, or sometimes just scared, or sometimes just anxious animals. Like that's what dogs are. That's what humans are. We're animals. Not to be disrespectful or derogatory, but have that experience where, like, you know, like I said, I'm well versed in self objects. I'm well versed in modeling behaviors. I'm well versed in different things. And on a personal level, even before getting into the field and knowing what I was going through, you get what I'm saying? So recognizing certain things is like, yeah, I mean, that's the familiar story. So like, yeah, I mean, so seeing these dogs go through the process of the rescue to acclimating to, even though they're in kennels, but it's still a caring, nurturing environment to the point where they're being shown to potential forever home owners, and their rear end is up, their paws are down and their face is down, and they're in front of a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and this animal that's stigmatized as a vicious attack dog is playing with a 2-year-old, 3-year-old with its rear end in the air and its tail waving like that. Now, some of the dogs is still shy, but they still, like, from the point where they're rescued, at whatever age they're rescued at, to the point where they're being shown for adoption, and whether they're hyped to see the little kid and running back and forth in front of the little kid, jumping or whatever with the little kid, or they're just lounging on the couch with the forever homeowner while they're evaluating what's the right dog they want to pick. Like, you see the stages and you see the recovery. And I know they don't really do animal testing, and this is, like, I feel like good evening, a real humane way of looking at animal testing, I guess you would say, because it's like I said, it's like a social economic thing. So if you go from this aggressive environment where you almost, I don't want to say living on top of each other, because it's not like New York here in Philadelphia, but it's still like a tight urban area. All right. Not to be ignorant. Okay. That's for future people that watch this. Somebody just commented in the comments. So to see people in these type of environments who can have display, like, not just people or kids or youth that have been diagnosed with behavioral or conduct disorder, or some youth member in that situation, but even people that haven't been diagnosed or worked with in the community with social workers, case managers, whatever. But to see them, any individual, whether you've been incarcerated or lived the life and escaped the incarceration and just reached the point where I don't want to live this life no more, or you've been using substances and you don't want to live the life no more, to see somebody go from, like I say, that familiar story to a new familiar story that some people aren't familiar with, and some people don't succeed in because they're not successful. But you got to give it time to it. That's what I'm saying, to not just adjust to this environment, but find networks in that environment, find systems in that environment, find supports in that environment. And that's why I preach, you gotta look outside the box. You gotta think outside the box, because in some instances, it's like, once you get to that point of, all right, we're done living a certain way, it's like, well, that way is all I know. And for some people that can be anxiety inducing, some people that could be scary, just new experiences. Even if you don't live a familiar life, even if you don't use substances, even if you've never been in the streets, new experiences are anxiety inducing for pretty much anybody. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I've had to talk to clients about that. Like, new experiences for the best of them, whether it's a new job, because, like, even if you know your job, and that's why I say in interviews now, like, even I know my job, I got to get acclimated to the way this system works. I know my job. The interventions are interventions. Like, any new interventions, I can learn the intervention, but for the most part, like, the interventions are interventions, the assessments are assessments, treatment plans are individualized, but, like, I got to learn how this system, this organization, this institution, this agency, this whatever entity implements these things. I got to learn how you operate. I got to learn how you operate within the greater system. I got to learn these things. These are the things that, so even though I might know my individual job to the T, it's like working for that. And that's something that you got to adjust to. That's something that might be anxiety inducing. So whether I know what I'm doing or it's your first day in the field and you're like, I really don't know shit about shit, you know. And like I'm just saying, I'm making a lot of comparisons and a lot of different things. But like when I say like different things, and even with the trauma informed and the lost generation, when I was talking, I'm gonna go to the lost generation, then I'm gonna pretty much wrap it up. Now let's talk about the lost generation. Like I said, we had baby boomers, we had the generation after the Second World War, the generation, same generation that after the Great Depression. And basically, that was the first generation during that Second World War where women were going into the workplace. So before that, you didn't have any women in the workplace, like hardly any. So it was like the men were the breadwinners, the women stayed home as the caregivers, and they took care of family and they took care of the house. Now, some cultures are still like that, and like I don't have a beef with either way you live. Like, I don't have a beef with anywhere you live as long as you're happy and doing what you want. Now, like I said, when it comes to that, it's like, all right, so coming off of that and coming into the future generations where now because of the war, females are now entering the workplace. And this is knowledge that I'm sure some of you people have, but like, you know, I'd be thinking. That's why I came up with the podcast, because I'll be thinking. So, you know, and I'm an 80s baby, like I said, born in year 80. Like some people consider the end of the 70s, you raised in the 80s, like whatever. I'm an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. So like, and even though like I had both parents growing up, but like I said, I knew a lot of people, and through the amount of people I've met throughout my 40 years, it's like I've probably only known like in total 40 years, like 7 people that had both of their parents together. And that's what we get to. That's an aspect of what we get to. So like we have that women entering the workplace. At the same time, we have the civil rights. We have the women's lib, and we have the death of Martin Luther King. We have the death of JFK. We have the death of Robert F. Kennedy. We have the Panthers rising. And like I probably talked about that before. And when I talk about that, it's like, you know, I know before I probably talked about that, and when I talked about it before, it was about the stigma about like, you know, the domestic terrorists and them going against the government and stuff like that. But like I said before, I'm pretty sure like where it mirrors is like, you know, whether it's the Panthers picking up where Malcolm left off, with a more militant, and like I said, they were trying to do a political party like the Democrats and Republicans. And I've told people that, I've told youngsters that, like, you know, this is a democracy that is set up for the people, by the people. So, and even though people roll their eyes at me, it's like we elect officials that are representatives of us. Like, I know it's a popularity game, and most, like, I like this. He's got great charisma. What's his politics? I don't know. But at the same time, like, you know, these are representatives of us, whether they senators, state reps, whether they the president, whether they local council members. We put them in power. We put them in office. They're there to represent us. They're there to do what's in our best interest. They're a representative. Each one is a representative of the masses in different areas and different levels of government. So, like, you know, I tell people, like, you know, even when it came to not Obama, it's after Obama. This is when Hillary and this is before Trump. This is when Hillary and Bernie Sanders were running the first time after Obama. And all I kept hearing was, and this is multiple times. This is multiple times. I had this conversation with multiple people that I was around, and I had this conversation with people that aren't like some of the people I'll be around, but I was around. So, and a lot of people were saying, like, I'm not going to vote for Hillary because blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to vote for Bernie, blah, blah, blah. And then when Hillary won the primary or whatever, it was like, I'm not voting for Hillary. And I heard that so much that I started to say back to people, well, Trump can win. And everybody was like, oh, no. They talk to me like people talk to me, like, you're the idiot. And then they try to cover it up with it. I was rooting for Trump. No, motherfucker, like, no. Like, I had this conversation like 70 million times. So, like, everybody tells me that they're not voting for fucking Hillary. Like, this nigga might win. And then people try to hit me with the, well, Hillary won the popular vote. And I said that before. Like, I knew that from the fucking Al Gore shit. Excuse my language, but I knew that from Al Gore. He was like, you won by 1 million votes. Well, that's too close for the electoral college to be revoked or whatever, reversed, whatever. Like, you know, whatever. So my whole thing was like, yeah, I mean, everybody's saying, and like, I ain't even going to go into all that. I'm just saying, like, when it came to the Panthers, it was like, yeah, I mean, they were, and the reason why I'm focusing on this now is because, like I said, last year we had not just riots here in Philly, over the last 2 years, not just here in Philly, riots and protests. We've had a lot of riots and protests around the country. Since like I said before, I don't know if it's Trayvon Martin or if it's just like the emergence of all this technology. And that's a rant for another time, the STEM programs and children being the future. But like, I don't, like, initially to me, it was like once Zimmerman, and I'm not racist or anything like that. We all minorities, we all citizens, we all, you know what I mean? But it seemed like once Zimmerman got off on it, and he's an individual, so don't try to put words in my mouth. But like, wrong is wrong. Like I said, wrong is wrong. And I watched the Trayvon Martin trial, and I heard the testimony and all that, or the reenactments, whatever you want to say. I think it was the trial. And I remember hearing the tape. I heard the tape of the dispatch telling Zimmerman, nigga, you not a cop, stay in your fucking car. Nigga, you ain't a cop, stay in your fucking car. And he's like, all right, well, I'm getting out the car and following this little nigga. Now, the other things that stuck out, and I'm not going to get into this a lot either, but this is kind of contributed to guilty until proven innocent. The other thing that stood out to me is, like, Zimmerman said that he started this night watch, or was part of this night watch, and he said that he knew everybody in the neighborhood. So, like, you know, he was like, this kid looks suspicious, but his dad, his mom and dad were divorced, and he visited his dad. I think his sister was there or something like that. And like, yeah, man, went to the store for some Skittles. So like, he went to the store, and his dad lived there. His dad lived there for years with his girlfriend or whatever. And the boy said that he knew everybody in the neighborhood, so you should know the boy. But still, I guess what happened was, he said that, and I'm sure that's the truth, somebody stole his patio furniture, and he was like, I'm not going to take it. And my whole thing was like, yo, did you see? And he said that he thought it was Trayvon that took his patio furniture. But he never said that he saw who took the patio furniture. He just knew he came home or he woke up something and the patio furniture was missing. I'm like, all right, well, you never seen who took the patio furniture. That's just a black male in the hood. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The boy, he was learning his taekwondo ground and pound, and I guess he got too overzealous. Thought he was going UFC a little nigga. Got his ass beat. Without a gun and shot in them shots. But anyway, I ain't gonna go too far into it, like I said, because like for me, I'm nigga, I could have been second chair. I'm just saying. There was a lot of discrepancies, but I'm not getting into that. And like I said, it wasn't like I'm black, and I'm not anti-Mexican or Latino or Hispanic or anything like that. It was just, you know, I wouldn't want to use that to divide whatever. But like in that instance, that was a 17-year-old kid, and like they told you, don't get out the car. And he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go follow him anyway. Like everything they told him not to do, he was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go do that anyway. And like I said, he thought he knew ninjutsu, and he was definitely studying the UFC, mixed martial arts stuff. And Trayvon, a 17-year-old, and he like husky like me, but he shorter than me, and Trayvon was whipping his ass. Nigga pulled down and shot at him. Shot him. Like, nigga, you took it in your head to get out the car and whip this nigga ass. You got your ass beat, and then you want to shoot somebody in the chest like. So anyway, after that, I felt like it was just open season because after that, like, and I'm not in jail watching this, and after that, it was just like shooting after shooting after shooting, and shooting after shooting after shooting. Motherfuckers getting choked up, like motherfuckers getting body slammed and killed. He's getting a neck broke and all types of stuff. And like I said, he wasn't a cop. The rest of these are cops. So the whole point of saying that all this is like over the last, I would guess, like, gotta be 10 years. Like, I mean, because I think Trayvon got killed before I went to jail. And his trial started while I was in jail and wrapped up. I don't remember. It's close because I've been home almost going on 8 years. So. Anyway, so ever since then, like I said, and that's how I felt initially. But now I'm looking at it like, you know, technology is advancing all day, every day, all day, every day. And I don't know how many killings it was before body cams, before dash cams, before World Star, before traffic cams, before office cams, just shooting crosswalks and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe they were always shooting niggas and just not this much television televised about it. But anyway. So the Panthers. So with all that said, like when you really get into what the Panthers were trying to achieve with the political party, with the social reform, social justice, social work that they did, starting different programs, food programs, subsidy programs, before school, after school programs, food closets, clothing closets, a lot of these things. This is back in the 60s, 70s, around there, 70s, around there. And that's the 70s. That's what? That's 40, 50 years ago. And then you get to the 90s with NWA, you get to the 90s with Tupac, you get to the 90s and we're still discussing these same things. We're still going through these same things. And like, you know, like when I look at my daughter, I guess is in an area where I might have said before, like she don't got to worry about certain things, but you always got to worry about certain things. But you like that it's harmonic. And even for me, it's like, I don't want my daughter in certain spots that I've been in the past. I don't want my niece in certain spots that I've been in the past. Like me, I might still ride through, but not on the same type of time. But like it's like I've been there, so like, you know what I mean. But no, you stay over and I was at a party once and they said something about like that, and it's not their influence, it's just how I am. Like you stay over in Sesame Street. Like I don't give a fuck if you're 24, 26. You stay where it's nice. Like don't even want to venture. Like me, it's like, you know what I mean? I've been everywhere on earth and I can go anywhere on earth. That's how I feel. Like I don't be beefing with nobody at this point. If I get shot, I feel like it's either going to be somebody shooting at somebody else that can't shoot, or a traffic stop with, like, you know what I mean? I shouldn't get shot at. And I don't think that's going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? But you never know. I don't think none of them other niggas thought they were going to get shot that day. Not to be smart. But anyway. So, like I'm saying, like with all the positive things, and that's when I come into the documentary I watched. It was called 13. Based on the 13th Amendment. It was really a documentary about mass incarceration and how they used propaganda for different things, including like, you know, just like Trump. Like I learned about, like I said, in different things, like the Nazi propaganda. That's when I first really learned about the propaganda, the Nazi propaganda against American soldiers that would come in, and we joined the fight late, but still. That's when I first learned about it. So then when I'm watching this video, and this is after the Trump election. This is years after the Trump election. I don't even know when this 13th was published or distributed or made or whatever. But the 13th was on Netflix. I think I got it saved on one of these devices. And they laid out the Nixon initiative. They laid out how Nixon used the same type of propaganda. I guess it's a strategy, war tactic, presidential campaign tactic. It is definitely, his motives were definitely racist. I guess J. Edgar Hoover's definitely racist. Other people would be a debate because, sometimes, fear tactics can probably win votes too. You paint a picture of a familiar picture. It's a familiar picture. It's a reality. And I don't want to get into a debate about it's just reality. It's reality, motherfucker. I don't care if you like it or not. I'm always trying to justify stuff. See? Anyway, so because like I said, even Tupac said it, if you want to know what I mean. Not everybody's a thug. Not everybody's against the law. And the average voter is probably taking crime and punishment more serious than people in certain elements of life. And that's real talk. I know it's not if people knew I followed the debates and I followed politics from 10 years old, they probably think I was a weirdo and they probably question he wasn't doing stuff he was doing back then. He just told us a lot of dumb stuff. But I didn't even want to get into that. Well, all I'm saying is I can understand different. That's why I say even if we have a difference of opinions, I can still respect your opinion. I can still learn to understand why that's your opinion. So I know the criminal life. I know why a criminal probably wouldn't respect certain aspects of other lifestyles and cultures outside of that culture. But it's when it comes to, like I said, your grandma, your aunt, your cousin that's the school teacher, your cousin that's a nurse, and stuff like that, they might be worried about people shooting the block up where the kids are outside. They might be worried about going to sending their kids to the store. Like I said, I might be comfortable. Chilling out there in a past life. Now I'm comfortable walking by and going into the store. I would be like I said, I don't feel like I got no beef. What you want to shoot me for? I don't know. But people on the block, I've talked to people they are upset that their kids can't go outside. They're upset that they can't do different things. No, my neighborhood's not a neighborhood where your kids can't go outside in fear of getting hit with a stray bullet. But still, I know the life I live, so I don't really be comfortable, even though my daughter's 14, with certain things. I don't know. Anyway, so like I'm saying, in certain aspects, I understand the tactic. Because obviously the tactic works if both Democrats and Republicans got elected on that. People brought to my attention, as much as we love Clinton, Clinton's responsible for the supermax and mass incarceration to some extent. Like I said, I think and I probably said this before, I think his strategy was ploy to get the tough on crime vote, not to establish a system to lock up. But I don't know, because I just know niggas love Clinton. When Hillary was running, that's when all the dirty laundry came out, but niggas love Clinton. And I think niggas still love Clinton. I still hear, up until Obama, our first black president was Clinton. So, but the real deal is, he did contribute to mass incarceration. But like I said, as much as niggas love Clinton and as much as Clinton loved niggas, I think he pandered to the tough on crime vote. Like, I know they said that Giuliani did that, but I heard Giuliani racist. I don't know the man personally, so that's just what I heard. I don't know, excuse my language, just freedom of speech. So, you know, when I'm watching this 13th, and like I said, you always hear the rumors, you always hear the murmurs, like and I've talked about Snowfall, supposed to be the story of Freeway Rick Ross, and how they first discovered crack and started distributing crack, and how that was funded by the war in Nicaragua or Iran-Contra. I don't remember. I think it's Nicaragua, and that brings in the Reaganomics and stuff like that. But like and like I said, when Trump was running, now this is how you know it's a tactic. One, because like I said, I learned in school. I don't know why I retained it. It was interesting to me, I guess. But I learned in school that, like, you know, the Nazi Germany and what they did with the American soldiers to bring up support from non-Nazi soldiers and non-Gestapo police officers and just the community in general. They were talking, and like I said, throughout history, whether you talk about the blackface Aunt Jemima commercial or cartoons, it's not Aunt Jemima, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I think they in that Jay-Z, Jones, and they're caricatures, not characters, but caricatures of black culture in America early on, way early on. But where the black characters kind of look like, resemble monkey cartoons, but like, if you know, you know. It's not a whatever. It's just, if you know, you know. You're not going to get too far. So basically what I'm saying is, like, coming off that, first you got the war and women working. Then you got the civil rights and the assassinations that took place back then. Then you got, coming out of that, you have the crack epidemic. And the crack epidemic, now you got both parents at work. And with Nixon's initiative, and that's why I go to Trump, and I'm trying to cut down on skipping around, but I bring up Trump first because before I watched this documentary, and like I said, throughout Black existence, you hear these murmurs and conspiracy theory. But 13 documentary, they had pictures of it's blacking out lines, like, you know, in JFK and stuff like that. But like I said, in probably Previous Jones, it was a manifesto. It was a document saying, plotting out, like, you know, we basically going to fund this war with this, or maybe not at that point. Maybe that was with Reagan and stuff like that. But when Nixon was involved, it was like an initiative basically to destroy the nuclear black family, which means husband and wife, kids. So now, and it's not just the only part of it. Like, when we get into the propaganda, when we get into the anti-black propaganda ran by Nixon, is similar to, like I said, the Nazis, is very similar to what Trump did with Mexicans. When Mexicans were, or when Trump was saying that if Democrats win, they're going to allow the Mexicans to come across the border, and they're all rapists, and they're all cartel members, and they're all this and they're all that. And like I'm saying, I'm not trying to vilify anybody. I'm just, we all know this. We were all here for the election. Don't edit my stuff. Don't edit it so it looks like I said it. You know who said it. It was Trump. But, and Trump supporters don't, not that you'll be watching my channel, but don't try to assassinate me either. So anyway, I'm trying to wrap this up. I got other stuff to do. I don't, but I want to watch TV and eat. But anyway, so then, like, you know, when you come to the Trump stuff, because it's basically the same thing, whether it was Nixon, Reagan, Clinton, Trump, when you're the wall, he wanted support with the wall, but still, and Clinton wanted to appeal to the tough on crime. And I guess that was big during that era, because like I said, Giuliani got one. And like, I guess it can be effective, because they say it's hard to have guns in New York, and like, that's what I'm hearing. amount of murder rate dropped. Like whatever. That's what I'm hearing. New York and Jersey, like, and I seen statistics the other day. So naysayers, go check your facts. Like, check your facts. So like I'm saying, when it comes to like the anti-Mexican of Trump, the anti-crime of Clinton, the anti-African American of Nixon and Reagan, and then to add in the crack epidemic, which was literally designed like I said, it wasn't just the only thing. Like the legalization of marijuana was a part of it, like making a Schedule A, Class A, or whatever drug because they purposely felt like minorities enjoyed it and they can bang them over the head. And not only that, so that adds the mass incarceration, making like I was watching something and somebody had got caught for a marijuana charge and they basically did more time than somebody who did like a violent crime. This is probably way in the past or whatever, but it all blends together. So you got that. And then when I talk about the lost generation, and I know this might cause some debate, polarization, I don't know. Continue the conversation if you get this far in the video. Like, comment, subscribe. And I feel like that because, like, you know, like I said, when you're coming out of the World War II era and you're having baby boomers really enter the workforce and really trying to take the world by storm and really trying to do things like that birth latchkey kids, which is you coming home by yourself. And then if you're purposely trying to destroy, basically commit genocide with a whole rate. We must be resilient as a motherfucker, as we probably multiply times 1,000. But now you got single mothers. Now you got people addicted to crack. Now you got people doing crazy things for crack. Now you got like, you see footage of New York in the 80s, and it's like type of project building they got now. It's like a bomb just, atom bomb just hit New York and rippled out. Now, for whatever reason, you don't really see it anymore. Other cities during the crack epidemic, footage of New York, but I'm guessing that's like, even though it started in LA, and the gangs grew in LA and stuff like that. And even the gang culture started as like a subculture of the Panthers that was supposed to help the residents against police brutality and injustice that turned into street gangs because they were trying to protect their own neighborhoods and turned into everything corrupt that wants man to touch it. So, like, you know, you got the latchkey kids, you got the kids coming home by themselves, you got the crack epidemic, you got people in the culture, outside of the culture, but mostly in the culture, exposed to the crack and the breakdown of the nuclear black family. They said, like, before the crack epidemic, Compton was like a suburban neighborhood, like a nice neighborhood where minorities wanted to move to start the American dream. And like we all know what we know about South Central Compton, and like not to say anything negative, it's just you know what you know, like you know what you hear, like if you're not from that area. And I'm like, I'm not trying to disrespect people from that era. I'm just saying, like, you know, as we become presidential age, and which I'm proud of. I'm just saying we're like, you know, the baby boomers are baby boomers, and like to me, like over, like you probably can go down, hit the on demand button and see like these millennial or not the millennials, the Z's and all them. They got their tech. Like like for me, they really got tech. Tech is the future. Like the STEM programs and the tech is the future. Like I watch YouTube and like I'm saying, like cable companies got apps now. Phones got apps, like everything's automated. And I mean, like, you know, computers are getting smaller and smaller. The world is computerized. You get what I'm saying now? It also brings us to hacking. But we're not going to get into all that because that's more millennial shit. And I don't see it as a bad thing. Like I said, I believe the children are our future, and that's a good thing for them. Like I said, I watch YouTube a lot now, and whether it's people showing their man caves or their smart houses, like it's a good thing because, like, you know, whether you're presidential age and you were into these things all the time, and like, yeah, I mean, you were a part of the lost generation, but not lost, which is a good thing. But like I said, coming into we're presidential age. We're seeing our first. I don't know if it's the first because I think the dude from Morehouse, he was generational wealth, but like, you know, you got Jay-Z, Diddy, uh, Dre. Even though they're entertainers, it's good to see that they like reached the billionaire status, and like, you know, the guy from Morehouse, he ain't no entertainer. He ain't no entertainer, and he was able to basically take who knows how many million, because like that's a whole class. My class. I didn't coin that phrase. I'm just saying. And payday, and like, you know, I'm happy to see that. Like, but that's me. I ain't no hater. Like, I'm happy. Like, I'm still on my journey. Like, I ain't nobody, like I said, but hopefully, you know, one day I can provide a brighter day for somebody, not just my future offspring, well, my present offspring, and my present offspring's offspring, but for the people to stabilize their life. And like I said, I ain't trying to be no superhero, nothing. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, but, you know, I don't know, I'm just rambling. Because there be points, like I said, like I went into all that because of, like I said, with the policies and God engineering and stuff like that. And when I talk about the policies, I'm talking about like the things that are changing, the things that are, and even criminal justice reform. And that's what the whole thing I'm talking about is like, and with the shootings and the Tupac in the 90s. Now I'm listening to Tupac songs from 96, 95, 94, Heaven, is that If Heaven Got a Ghetto, something like that. One of them songs. And it's like, when I was listening to it probably 10 years ago, and he's been dead for 25 years, no disrespect. He's been dead for 25 years. 10 years ago, which is 15 years, I'm listening to it, and I'm basically getting a depiction. I lived through the Rodney King riots, and I'm basically getting a depiction of mental visualization of the riots. You get what I'm saying? And for that, 10 years later, 25 years after his death, 24 years after his death, for that song to still be the exact soundtrack, even though you think so much stuff is progressed, and that's still, and even in that sense, it's like I've said this before, even in that sense, like through, at least here in Philly, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but at least here in Philly, it's like this is the first time that Tyreek McGillicuddy, I as a U.S. citizen, me as a human being on earth, has seen, like, I've probably seen, like, besides this last 5 years, 10 years, whatever, before this gun shooting violence, I've probably seen like I say like three or four riots on Earth. Now, having said that, the whole poignancy or whatever it is of that I'm saying is like, you know, never in history have I seen, and I probably said this before, but never in history have I seen two things, maybe three, two things, maybe three. The riot or the protests outlast the riots. Like usually when the riots break out, the people that ain't rioting, all right, we shutting down, we packing up, we getting the fuck out of here. And then this is the first time I seen the break in the blue wall. And like I said before, like right is right, wrong's wrong. But you know that even on the streets, you got that you my brother, this is brother, you right, whether you right or wrong, I'm riding out. And I think that that's been what it is throughout history. Now, whether you had, because I'm not a cop, So whether cops had arguments or fisticuffs back at the precinct in the locker rooms, we would never know. But on the streets, this is the first time, and like I said, this might just be a Philly area, that I've seen not just the protests continue, but the protests outlast the rioting. The rioting here in Philly lasted like 3-4 days. The protesting lasted 7, 8, maybe an 11. And during the time of the simultaneous protest rioting, it's the first time I've seen that break in the blue wall, where you had officers dealing with the protesters or the rioters. You had officers not doing nothing but standing there, and then you had officers that were marching with the protesters. And like I'm not vilifying the officers that didn't do anything, I guess we say. Just standing there as the protesters walk. But it was weird. It was weird and surreal to me. Because it's like you see officers protesting with the protesters, black and white people protesting that aren't officers. They're protesting with these people. And right beside them are people breaking windows, starting fires, fighting cops. And like, that's what I was saying. Like, you had cops with people that were protesting. I've never seen a cop protest with protesters before in life. Never seen cops protest with protesters. So that was one thing. And for there still to be riots going on, and then there still be people fighting cops, because like I'm saying, like when it comes to the cops that were standing there not saying nothing, and then the cops that were fighting, like, all right, so some cops are fighting rioters to keep the peace. So, but then we all know there's cops that was fighting the protester because they want to crack niggas' skulls. And we all know there's rioters that were rioting, that came to the riots. They had no parts of the protest, just the riot, and crack police officers' skulls. So, it was a weird dynamic for me, because you got the protesters, you got the cops protesting, then you got the cops that want to fuck up niggas, and then you got the niggas that want to fuck up cops, and it's just a weird dynamic. It was like, really, if you get it, it's really like 3 different multicultural groups that were all involved, maybe more, maybe less. But, if you get it, you get it. So it was like a surreal thing. And like I'm saying, like, for some of the depiction to still be depicted in a song from 94, 95, 96, whenever he wrote the song, he died in 96. It's crazy. And it's like I said, as much as you think we progress, as much as we feel like we progress, as much as I feel like I progress, it's like, certain things let you know shit is still the same. But then, so, like I said, certain things like that have a black cop and a white cop, and other cops peppered in to the fucking protest. That's a sign of progression to me. Like, they're acknowledging, like, this ain't right. Like, I feel like that needs to be said. To see the police commissioner on one knee, like, I feel like it needs to be said, because, like, there's always probably been a divide, not just in the hood and black community with police officers, but, like, I don't know. I can't speak for the blue wall. I can just say, like, there's never been a time where they say it. You see it in TV shows. You see it in, that's the closest you might see somebody fighting. Like, hear somebody fighting. I don't know. I don't be in the locker room in the police station. But, like, I think that says a lot, that other officers are saying, like, this ain't wrong, or this ain't right. This black and white, Mexican, Latino, Asian, anybody, like, they got people in bed. Now, I ain't seen no cops fighting cops. Like, that would have been different, but still, like, just like they acknowledge them. They acknowledge them. Like, shit needs to change. Like, we protesting with the motherfuckers. Like, we human. Like, so I don't know, but when it comes to I don't know how I got there. Besides, like, policies, initiatives, the lost generation. So, like I said, as a baby boomer, like, for me, like I've always said, like I had like a conduct disorder before gangster rap and hip and gangster rap got big. Like rap was out before me. Like you had Heavy D, you had Heavy D, you had De La Soul, you had Tribe Called Quest, you had the Fat Boys, you had other people, and there's always been underground, like I mean, aggressive lyrics in hip hop. But hip hop was hip hop. Like NWA came out when I was like 8, and believe me, I was a terrorist then. Not to be bragging, I'm just saying, like, so there is definitely, to me, a difference. There was different influential factors, and like even going into like the deep millennial years, I still think it's heavy influence media and different sources. I ain't the only one to say it. Like I know I'm the only one, or the first person probably in my circle to say it, but I ain't the only one to say it because I've heard other people say it that have a bigger voice than me. So I know I ain't the only one to recognize it. And when I say that, I'm not. I listen to gangster rap. I'm just saying, like, for me, and like I said earlier, like I know people who got in the streets. I know people that got into certain things, and I don't have no feelings about it. My thing is just I know the truth. Like I know who's getting in trouble throughout their life and who gravitated towards it later in life. I know people that were tough. I know people that were ready to fight, throw down, and do those type things. But I don't know, they could have avoided the street. And it's not like I said. I ain't judging nobody. I don't care. You ain't in my office. I don't care. Like I hate to say it like that. But I'm just trying to say, like, I ain't trying to judge nobody, but beware the guys. Like, So when I say the lost generation, like, and you can look at it, whether you look at it as the influence of hip hop and gangster rap, or you just look at it as the influence, like, because for years I probably looked at it like that. Like, I came up with Fresh Prince, like, before the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when it was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. I came up with the arm to arm block party. Now I don't know because I was a young boy back then, so I don't know if people were worried about guns at the block party or nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't like I'm sure it was what it was, like, broken glass everywhere, people pissing in the hall, just don't care. Like, I get that, the message and all that, I get that, but early on it was more Sugar Hill than the message. You get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, like, when you look at different things, and like I'm saying, I had to learn a lot. Like, I know who I was, I know who I am now, I know who I became, but at the same time, I know who I was, and I know who some people weren't, and who they are now. Now, and like I was saying, I don't got a problem with who you are now, but if you talk some bullshit, I might not challenge you on it, but if you talk some bullshit directly to me, I'm like, yo, come on, man. And it's not because I'm trying to put you out there, but for whatever reason, you feel like you got to flex on me and flex. Then the truth would be like, nigga, you wasn't there back then. Like, even though I'm docile Rick now, like, I don't know, like, I'm more, like, I was known for pulling people's cards back then, probably. And whether you acknowledge it or not, I was. Some people still hate me for it now, and I'm docile Rick now. But my whole thing is, like, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I guess I can let it go, but at the same time, depending on, like, who, like, I don't know, because sometimes people tell me, like, come to me with these stories that never happened. I'm like, nigga, that never happened. Like, you are who you are now, and I respect who you are now, but bullshit is bullshit. That never happened. Anyway, but whatever, man. I ain't trying to flex on it. I'm just trying to say, like, when it comes to the lost generation, because, like I'm saying, this popularity of the street life, popularity of the persona, and you don't really have to survive shit. That's just how I see it. Like it's just how I see it. Like, you don't have to do certain things, and as long as we are popularizing the thugs, it's like as a culture, as a whatever. Like, people ain't gonna work with you because you're a thug. People ain't gonna want to give you a chance because you're a criminal. people ain't gonna want to do certain things because there's certain things you're doing. Like I gave the Raise More Obama speech, and I ain't gonna get into that. I'm just saying, like the genesis of that was basically like 2 years in Trump's camp, or 2 years into Trump's presidency, and people were saying like, yeah, I still miss Obama. I still miss Obama. Well, we got to raise more Obamas. There, 44, 45 Washingtons to Trumps. Like, we got to raise more Obamas. And I know there's Obamas out there. We got to make that the norm. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm in my OP at Dalton, and I'm trying to get my suit and tie on. Like I said the other day, like I feel like I grew with Jay, but I'm not Jay. I'm not Jay at all. But at the same time, all black at the white shoes, white shoes at the black shoes. Y'all step back and let the light go. Like, seriously, like you know, how you gonna upgrade me when you higher than number one? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I'm single, so I'll be playing too much. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, when it comes to that, like, really, all right, so you got the crack epidemic, like I'm saying. Then you got crack dealers. Then you got the allure of the street. You got the dookie chains. You got the riches. You got all that. And this is basically the kids of the 80s. This ain't like, and I already know you got bootleggers and shit like that, and numbers runners, and like you got like numbers runners. Like, that was basically the drug dealer before like crack and reefer got the chronic and shit like that. I don't know. You want to say what you want, like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, we could always continue the conversation. I respect all views and opinions. I'm just saying, this is mine. So when I say the lost generation coming off that baby boom, and I hate to keep going back and forth and all over the place, but like, coming off that baby boom where people are probably eager, especially females, to get into a workplace, earn a living, have that American dream, come off of the Great Depression, come off the World War II, come home, survive World War II, get back into the workplace, male and female, women's lib, like, all that stuff. Latchkey kids, crack epidemic, crack dealers, drug dealers, still civil unrest, still police brutality in certain urban areas. But then, like I say, like, even though I consider us the lost generation of Generation X's, and even though the opioid epidemic is outrageous, it's still like this tech, this STEM, this science, tech, engineering, math generation. Like, I feel like there's a lot of promise for a future. And like, even as we reach this presidential age, and you have not just celebrities, but people really speaking against the nonsense that we really engaged in. Like, you get what I'm saying? We lived, we learned, we lost, we triumphed, we fell victim, we did different things, and we came out the way we came out. That's all I can say. And I know I probably steered off course because I was really trying to discuss like the guilty until proven innocent, and I went into the case, and I'm gonna have to do another addendum because this has been like 3 hours, and I know I've been on people's lives that were 3 hours before, but still. And like I said, the conversation is a conversation. That's why I started the podcast, because I like the conversation. I enjoy the conversation. I want to continue the conversation. It's good to have group conversations. It's good to, and that's why I'm thinking about exploring the book writing, the public speaking. I don't know about motivation, but public speaking. And like I said, like, I'm hopeful for not just the future, but the future of the country, the future of the culture, the future of the economic status. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but like, like amongst the regular crazy bullshit and the regular, like I'm seeing like hit the YouTube, these texts, like, yo, y'all got it, like, attack future, like, y'all look at it, it's not just California, Silicon Valley. It's not just like, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to the stuff that we might have considered nerdy or whatever, like that's these video games, that's these iPads, iPhones, iWatches, that's that software base, that's that everything. Like, the future's now. Like, you know what I mean? Star Trek. But I'm not end it off for that right now. I'm gonna end it off. I think I'm gonna have problems with the computer, but I'm gonna end it off. See how this turns out.